assembly of God to come up to the podium and lead us in prayer tonight. Everyone will stand.
Gracious Lord, we come to you tonight, loving on you, glorifying you, lifting you up. We praise you for your blessings upon our city. We ask your blessings upon our city council, our leaders, our mayors. Father, bless their families and their homes with the sacrifice that they make for our great city. We ask your blessing upon all of these. We ask you, Lord, to lead us and guide us tonight as we do business and enact commerce in the city. We ask every pastor and every church that they would have a move of God in this great city of Cleveland. Bless this people gathered here tonight. Lead us and guide us, and you be glorified in everything we say and do. In Jesus' name, amen. Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Under the Texas flag, I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
All right, so the first item on our agenda is to issue the certificate of election to the mayor, Richard Boyette, council position 1, Carolyn McWaters, and council position 2, Marilyn Clay. We had an uncontested election, so we did not have to hold one. So this will be where we're providing the certificate of election. And as soon as the mayor signs them, I will be able to pass them out. And then we'll go to number 2, which is administering the oath. Our oath will be presented tonight by Judge Ralph Fuller. Judge Fuller, if you'll come forward. And we'll do them in order on the agenda. Mayor, if you would please step forward.
Oh, Ralph, I did this once. I did Ralph. I told him he was going to do me. That's right. Are you ready? I'm ready. Repeat after me. I, Richard Boyette, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of Mayor of the City of Cleveland, of the State of Texas, and will to the best of my ability, preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States, and of this state, so help me God. Thank you. Appreciate it.
All right, the next we'll have is council position 1, Carolyn McWaters. If you'll please come forward.
I, Carolyn McWaters, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of council member of the City of Cleveland, of the State of Texas, and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
All right, and then our third will be council position 2, Marilyn Clay.
I, Marilyn Clay,
I, Marilyn Clay,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully
that I will faithfully
execute the duties
execute the duties
of the office of council member of the city of Cleveland,
council member of the city of Cleveland,
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will to the best of my ability
and will do to the best of my ability
preserve,
preserve,
protect,
protect,
and defend
and defend
the Constitution and laws
and the Constitution of laws
of the United States
of the United States
and of this state.
and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
If the two council persons and the mayor would come up front, the mayor would like to do a quick photo.
That's right.
Get the kids to come space apart over here, some of them over here.
Oh.
You know,
Ready?
You want to
Thank
get,
y'all
did
for
you
coming.
get the kids?
You want to get home with yourself?
You want a photo with just your family? Sure.
Especially with Ty. And Judy.
You want to get over there?
Yeah.
Yes.
Well.
That's a good one. You ready? Okay.
Thank y'all.
Can we just adjourn and go home?
We'll let the roll call show that all the council are present. Okay, we're opening a public hearing.
Mayor and Council, this public hearing is a CDBG comprehensive project. In 2019, the city applied and received a grant for planning capacity building comprehensive plan. And HR Green was chosen to create the plan. This public hearing is to discuss the proposed comprehensive planning documents and solicit citizen input on this project. No action will be taken during the public hearing. I do want to make a comment from staff that every great city has a comp plan, and this is our roadmap for the next 20 to 30 years. And it's important to have a plan on paper. And this current council staff has started working on the items within this document. So Rebecca is here. Rebecca, I don't know if you'd like to make a comment about the public hearing.
I don't need to make a comment about the public hearing. I'll run over here and say, I don't need to make a comment about the public hearing. I am going to be presenting during the meeting about the plan, just kind of the general, unless you guys would rather me do here. Thank you.
Sorry to put you on the spot.
No, you're fine.
Do we have anyone here that would like to address the public? Do we have anyone that wants to talk about this particular item on the agenda? Zoom.
Is there anybody on Zoom? Please unmute yourself or use the chat feature if you'd like to just talk during the public hearing on the comprehensive plan.
Nobody wants to say anything about it?
Okay.
We must be doing good. Okay, I close the public hearing. Okay, we're opening another public hearing. This is to discuss, the proposed partial street closure request from Liberty Church of a portion of Page Street off FM 2025. Anyone in the audience have a? Come on, bring it.
We live on Cedar Street, right behind there. That street's pretty small, and it's gonna create a lot more traffic through our area. I encourage everyone before you vote to drive down Cedar before you do. And so you can see what I'm talking about, okay? It's not conducive for extra traffic. Okay?
Do you know what we're talking about? The
Yes.
Closure of partial
Yes.
of that street,
So,
right?
You're gonna close the pate here and have it come in from 59 down Cedar, right? And all that traffic that people are trying to avoid, the bridge and all, they're gonna come down Cedar Street. So that's my.
Where do you live, sir? I mean,
On Cedar.
Okay, on,
Yes, sir. Yeah, we have some other people here that live on Cedar too,
Could we hear from them on?
if they would like to. Thank you.
yeah, sure.
Sir, may I have your name for the record, please?
My name is Brad Moore.
Brad Morris, thank
Yes,
you.
thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
If you'll just state your name before speaking, thank
My
you.
name is Santana Herrera. I live in Cedar Street, and it's very dangerous. 2025 in Cedar. I don't have access to records, but I see a lot of accidents on that street. So if y'all can check the records, you will know it's a very dangerous curve. And if somebody comes from 2025 to Cedar, it's gonna give even more accidents. For a lot of our family, we drive to Pate to avoid Cedar in 2025. So it's not gonna be a good change. It may be good for the church, but not for us.
Thank you, ma'am. Anyone else? Just come up, you don't have to say a whole lot, just.
Feel free to speak what you're here for.
Hello, my name is Francisca, and I don't like to the street to be closed because it's going to be really dangerous for us or for the cars passing by because we have children playing on the street and it's going to cause a lot of danger to our children and to our families.
Thank you.
Is there anybody on Zoom that would like to speak during the public hearing on the partial street closure for Pate Street? If so, please unmute yourself or use the chat feature.
I'm Robert Harris with Liberty Church, and while I do understand the concerns about the safety of the street itself, I asked, like you, Mr. Pennington was stating earlier, the long-term view of what we're trying to do here, and the way that we're trying to expand the church to be able to involve more of the community. While I can see where there may be some initial concerns, I think that those can be sorted through widening the roads, and there can be safety precautions taken to the small strip of space that we're asking to utilize. We own both sides of the street, and we would like to be able to expand what we have with the church to be able to further do things with the community, involve the children within the community where our hearts are. Because I listen, I hear, I understand what they're saying. It's not that we want to put children in danger, we have a vision for these children to be able to further expand within that. So I urge you, I do consider what they said, but I urge you to understand what we're trying to do, the vision that we have for this church, for this community, the fact that as things expand, I work in the city limits of Houston, and I drive it every day. I see where we expanded and expanded, and it's just going further north. 2025, that area, moving further north is the next to come. And we want to be ahead of that and to grow with this city and what's to come with that. Yes. This here, we talk about it.
Anyone else with the Liberty Creek?
My name is Preston Boswick. I'm one of the senior pastors there at the church. And I do hear the concerns of the safety of the other street of Cedar. I don't know if they are aware of your plans for the bypass that is going to go in just north of that street that will eventually solve a lot of the cross between Cedar and 2025. And it is a very tight street. I've driven down it. Trying to come out on 2025 at Pate and at Cedar is very dangerous with the current speed limit. I think one of you said to me that will be under review to decrease the speed limit on 2025. But I think as you guys have been planning ahead for traffic flow in that area, the span of time between the potential closure of that street and any increased traffic on Cedar, it is a tight street. So I think as people start to try to make an alternate choice for traffic, that they will be frustrated by trying to make that, because making two turns to try to get over to 2025, they use Pate because it's just a straight shot. They can speed down that road, and I've seen it happen. But there are alternates both now and in the future for traffic flow.
Richard, do you know this Brad Norris? Did y'all spoke about this?
No, sir.
And have you reached out to any of the people? Yeah, this is a public hearing. We have an item on the agenda. We're just building anybody else may have would like to speak.
Can I say one more thing? I encourage you to drive. Go to the Cedar, everybody. Go down Cedar, see what I'm talking about. Try to exit 2021.
Come on, Freedom.
I'm Frida White with Liberty Church. I've driven down that road more times than I can remember, and I'm busy. So my mother used to live in Tanglewood and on Doris Street, and so I did everything I could to wiggle around. And the curve they talk about is right where we want that. And there has been more accidents in the curve at 2025 and the road that we would like closed than I have seen everywhere. And the real problem is people driving way too fast from Cold Springs into town. And if we could put up speed limits, I mean, I even talked to the chief one time about, could we get a traffic light? Because they just come booking it down there, and when you're at that curve, I mean, the screeching tires and the accidents, vehicles that have been in the ditch are incredible. So I think it will be a little bit of an inconvenience perhaps, but we own both sides of the road, and for us to be able to utilize our property, the city made us put in that drainage, and that took up a lot of our property. And so we're just trying to do the best we can with what we've got. Thank you.
Mayor, can we just clarify?
Okay, all the people that we live in Cedar Street, we've been there more than 20 years. It's not the same if you're just a neighbor around. We get to see people getting hurt on that curb. Cedar in 2025, we have see a lot. We haven't seen nothing on page. It's usually Cedar in 2025. If you check your records, I'm sure somebody here and have access. You will know what I'm talking about. The crazy thing about it, a lot of us have teenagers, kids that starting to drive, and they use Page Street to be safe. And as a parent, it's better for me for my kids to drive Page than Cedar. So it's you don't live there, we do. So we think it's a bad idea. I mean, I understand they knew when they bought the property that it was a street. I mean, and all of us, we live there and we use that street. And it's not good. It's not gonna be good for nobody, not for the city, not for whoever tried to use it.
What's your address, ma'am?
600 Cedar. I live right there. We see, and they live right in front of me. We go and we see all the accidents all the time, no matter the time.
She's right though, there's a lot of speeders going down that.
That's true.
Anyone else?
If I just want to clarify, I have driven Cedar Street, and just want to clarify how many residents are on that street. I know I saw two.
Yeah,
Residents.
we'll handle that during the action item. Purely.
Just to hear them. We'll get it.
And another point that I wanted to make though, but if we had a visual review of what everybody's trying to explain, you'd be able to see, everybody would be able to understand and see what everybody's doing. Jennifer, if you'll pull up the public hearing notice that we have, I believe it has a map. No,
Hearing.
no, sir, that's just giving a visual. Councilman Franklin asked if I was taking action. That's simply giving a visual during the public hearing, and that's okay, correct, Mr. Olson?
Fine.
But pretty, did you say that people the trucks try to turn around there on from the love?
Again, now there's a line, let's entertain additional public comment. Close the public hearing. We'll entertain this dialogue. I've asked Jennifer to pull up visual maps. I know that there's a map in there. It's a little clearer for what we can see, and then you can actually see the houses that are located there on Cedar Street. You know, I have driven it. It's very tight.
It's a public hearing, it's a public hearing. only.
It's just a. Free to go ahead.
Yeah, there's no, there's no contesting that the increased traffic would be an inconvenience, but just to address the lady's concern for safety for her future kids driving, we are not closing all of Page Street. They would still have access to their homes via Page Street onto Cedar Street and that movement onto the theater.
Okay. Anyone else with any more comment? Anyone else? Okay, I'll declare the public hearing closed. We're not going to have a decision on this tonight.
Like I said, if you drive it, drive it. All right.
This is where, when you ever see right in front of 2025. And then I was right in front of them. So we see all the accidents
curve.
On that curve. There is no road, okay, so it's easy for you to go forward and then go around. You have to go straight and you have to go shallow, very dangerous.
You have to slow down quite a bit.
Especially if some people come from that road, they don't see very little, this is a curve. So the curve is sometimes, all the accidents happen from that corner. Like,
That's it, I promise.
Okay, public hearing closed. We're gonna move, I'm gonna move around on the agenda. We're gonna go to item 27, which is consideration of possible action for council to take action to direct staff concerning the request from Liberty Church to abandon the portion of Page Street FM 2025 to Cedar Street to allow for future building. Okay, this opens up where we can discuss. Council, Marilyn, do you want to open up? With your, what you had, Marilyn, we can talk about. Item 27.
Well, that was basically what I wanted, basically to get a visual aspect of what everybody was discussing and what their intents were. And just to clarify how many residents was on that street. And as to what the gentleman was saying, haven't driven it, it is a very short street. Basically, that's just basically what I wanted to know, how many residents there, and just to make sure that the people had a visual review of what the intent of this was.
I've driven down there, I can see the residents, I see what I see the church. And this is why I made it, but this is the church here, is located. And Page Street goes all the way through to 2025. Staff has asked the question, how much traffic is Page receiving? We asked TxDOT if they have a problem with us closing the street, their request. The Liberty Church also owns the property here, this wooded area that backs up to the residence. So the thought is, church is requesting closure here to here. So people still turn on Page, but then you'll make an immediate light, go up Cedar. And so the folks on Cedar are concerned that they'll have additional traffic cutting through instead of going down here to 2025. We are putting we're still in discussion of putting a road north of this location that'll be part of the school property that will alleviate some of the pressure that's having a 2025. Also, we've asked HDC to push us already down so we can get to this thing fixed. Because of the traffic that we have, it's not conducive for rigs to make the turn there. So we have issues with the actual bridge there. We did call a public hearing. We want to hear from the residents in the area. Now, it's possible it's up to the church, but in their design, they want a building that would be adjacent to their existing building. And the thought is that you still have a driveway through the park. I know we've kind of discussed that as well. The church is also concerned if they do build an auxiliary building, with the traffic coming through, and then you have pedestrians crossing the street, and you have the same problem as you would have on the street. If they're planning on building a school, a private school, as well as a church. So I don't know if in the design, if the church has a private drive to alleviate some of the traffic still through the street, it would be part of the parking lot design to allow for that traffic to still exist away from the building.
that with the residents who are in. But that is the only other.
Yeah, so this part of the page is closed, but still coming in on page, there you go. Sorry, I'm a little small enough, but
Okay, how would they get to that part of the street? That is my question.
it has to go through the city. Yeah. Brady, come on.
I will add one other thing. The church owns the property that's on it. So we own it on 145 all the way to this area. And then that wooded area, so that has to be vacant property. So the 164, 6 homes. Okay.
And the artist on the other.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So we own even that wooded area. And another thing that I've witnessed repeatedly is that when people come off the feeder, they cut through the church parking lot. You know, people will take the least they can, you know, to get to where they need to go the fastest. And so, I mean, I've had to jump out of the way because they come just tearing through because it's smooth sailing on the parking lot. So I really think it would slow people down. The issue is the speed limit and the dangerous curve. And so if the school district does what they're planning to do, then that will all alleviate that traffic where you can access 59 and not have to come down 2025 and go across the bridge and sit for a half hour. So, you know, I think we all understand the width of that street. But
No.
what will happen, what is happening to
Yeah,
us, I mean, one time
country, that-
18-wheeler missed it and took out our power pole in the curb, ended up in the ditch at the church. So, you know, it's ongoing because they're going way too fast for that area. Thank you.
Go ahead, Mr. Moore. Which part? I was just gonna tell you, you know, we're trying to think, out there before that station is.
Sure.
We're trying to make that go 2025, exit to 59, when you get on 59,
Okay.
69, then get on Washington Street there.
So where she's pointing, you actually proceeded to, 2 cars came in the pit. To get out. Okay. So if there's a car there, somebody's got to stop. Now imagine, even if you double the traffic there, how much you're going to, how much congestion you're going to create like that. That's right, that's yeah. Right, tear down that street. So, you know, I know what they want, and I don't have any right against them for that, but you know, we have to look out for us too. I mean, if you add all the way here, 2 cars, on out 16, all the way here.
They're coming from the side street.
Now, a lot of the traffic is going down this way around and come back, and it's trying to avoid that bridge. But right now, you know, I don't know how long that's going on.
Well, they'll be there a long time.
Yeah, you know, so, I don't know if they can put it off or if you can, you know, I don't know what, but, it's not, it's just gonna create more of a headache for everybody, not just us. Thank you.
Bobby, where do we stand on getting the speed limit lower?
The school district is working on that. We understand that somebody is doing a survey of the traffic count. We were told by the pastor, he thought that it may have been ours. So we know that TxDOT is supposed to look at it and maybe looking at it right now. But they're probably looking at 2025 interchange and not necessarily. They know that we're looking at the possibility of closing it, but they don't have an interest in that.
Because I got, at school, they're gonna probably lower that, put right-hand turn and left-hand turn and do that. But we don't know when that.
The church is wanting to make sure that they have the campus all on one street. It may be simple enough as if we need to move the street, we move it to the north, that vacant area that they own, still have street part of their parking lot improvement. You still need access, they're still gonna need access to their parking lot. And you still have semi-private road that goes through that location. They're gonna need it for their own traffic control. And that to me is a compromise that I think that everyone can look at.
Are you proposing to basically put another road or parking lot, basically up against our property line, so in their backyard, up against the property line to kind of going down to the street and stuff?
Basically, I'm saying the possibility is something that we need to look at is to move 8th Street and still have a route that would take traffic off.
Bobby, you're talking about the wooded area that they own.
Correct.
Right, okay. Not that far, but
So would that be?
And then, the other thing, if you don't, if you have the, go ahead.
I can't hear you. He brought up school bus. Repeat what you said, please. And just pull your mask off for just a second.
Yeah, my first year, my first year, there's a bus for mama that has to so the bus is traffic to the city, it was all changes to the bus. And to us, I didn't say.
I have a question for both of you. Daniel Street, do you have, a lot, I think both have a lot of traffic that comes through there. We have a lot of traffic comes through. Do you have a lot of 18-wheelers? Do you have a lot of large trucks that come through there on both streets?
There's no truck in the state now,
What you're saying is still, if there was an emergency, somewhere, in a car stop, or an ambulance needed to get to you, I mean, if you can't get two cars in there, you can't do something.
yeah, 2 cars went upstairs down, you can see anything.
Chief, you got a comment about
We all know that area is a big topic right now. We have to point it. The text out of the word, the issue, of course, they have to do studies, the more engineers will do that, so that's nothing that you make a proposal to text out, that we can go on the speed. We can get a traffic count of down, of the amount of crashes that occurred in that particular area, or council if they decide.
Hey, why don't you go get some ice? Ice your leg. We're just gonna get an ice bath.
So we can provide those numbers as well. That is an interesting area. Everybody trying to get around that traffic on top of that bridge. Thanks, Doc, for looking at that. If the school goes in within the next year, that's really, really need to be more. Efficient.
Yeah.
Before I was done with your program, drive. Personally, I just looked at it on the map. I need to just drive it and just see for myself and get out of here. I can understand what those sides are trying to do. Church does a lot with food. And we all love and appreciate that.
Who's all where?
Daddy's up there. I just gotta personally look at it. Eyeball for myself. Thank you.
and then you
Yeah, and I would also like that accident down in front of the church. I I'll look at that also.
Yeah, and you'll find that even on Page Street, two cars cannot exit or utilize that street at the same time. There's a large drop off right there, the southern corner, several, you'll see the brakes, there's several people bottoming out right there, so neither of the roads. is conducive for traffic.
So can I ask a question? I'm gonna be like with the car, can I ask you a question? You say you're gonna build a school in the wooded area, right?
And the drainage, we take it in find areas where we want to go, but overlap where the street is.
Okay, so what you gonna do with the wooded area?
We would utilize it for parking.
Okay, so, most, like, can you just live like, what they're gonna call it, a cross ramp, you know, like the little road, they go over, walkway, whatever, go over the street, so you can go in. And that way that street still be open, but you got that like, I don't call it like a little ramp or whatever, you just walk up and then come over back.
Skywalk. Skywalk.
Can you do something like that, then they'll be happy, sure, without closing that street down, you got that little skywalk.
Skywalk is, no.
Well, yeah, that
But
would
the Lord certainly, what they're building,
Well, he said they're not using it, they're not gonna use it. They're gonna deal with it.
You texting down what to say?
Well, I'm texting, but he's not answering it.
To be able to speak, please go to the microphone so it's recorded and the people on Zoom can hear you.
So,
Robbie's back.
Robbie Harris?
so the wooded area is not gonna remain wooded. That is part of the construction as well. We're parking, additional parking would be for the additional headcount that we would have on site at that location. So it's not that we're trying to just close the road because we want to close and we want to build up to that point. It's, we're kind of crossing over that point and need to utilize more of our land.
Huh?
So it's not just that we can build across the size of the building that we have is or we're going to run into the same problem either way as to what meets and bounds of where we can build up to from a public street. So we have issues either way. It really does have to do at this point, I think, with both arguments being made, that it has to do more with the safety of the road itself and the condition of either one of these roads not being conducive for traffic than anything else.
Mayor, Council, I would like to reach out to the residents of Cedar to see if they're willing to look at the possibility of bringing that in the cul-de-sac. That way you wouldn't have the through traffic on Cedar. The only thing is it wouldn't have direct access back to 59. So basically you would make a cul-de-sac just before it comes into pave, and that would cut down on the cost traffic, through traffic, which is a major concern.
Are you saying when it comes to 2025?
I think are you talking about it? Are you thinking about policy that at the end of the day?
Are you saying either in 2025 or either in
We just need to look at it. We need to look at it with our engineers to see if there's a solution that we can come to where the church can expand, move pace, and we can find something that we can all agree on, and the residents can agree on Cedar as well. So we need time to look at it with an engineer. We want to bring it to you. We wanted to have a public hearing, so we're here for all the residents, all property owners. So we'll go back and discuss this with our engineers. And people can come up. I'd like to make a motion. Does anybody else like to say anything else? So we close the public hearing. Yes. We're in your discussion and action. And I'd like to propose a motion to both church and residents. Would you give us a time for next council meeting, so
so that we can put this, to the side. I guess we would, table it tonight so that we could, go with our study, review the what you told us on both sides so that we can all be fair and come up with the best solution that would fit all of you and in the community. And I agree, it's dangerous, and I agree, you need to expand. Churches are important, communities are important, and we're here to help you do what we can do to help those parties and be able to make the right decision. So if you don't mind, I would like to make a motion to table this item and come back and see what new ideas, new developments we have had on this so that we can possibly make the correct and the most decisive decisions that we can for you and the community.
Can I second that?
Is that fair? Is everybody okay with that?
I second it.
Please, artistry, are you okay with that?
That'll give more to everybody that wants to go into this, and we will hopefully come up with a solution for everybody. I mean, we didn't know this, their side the last time we met.
Right, and during this period, please feel free to contact council, contact city manager, and bring your ideas and concerns still forward, because it's a discussion we're gonna have to make a decision on at next council meeting.
Where would you sort of do that, Ron? Okay. Any other discussion with council? We have a motion from Mr. Franklin and a second from Danny that we table this until next meeting, and we can talk with Daryl, engineers, and the church, and the people that have problems, and see if we can work something out. Any other action? All those in favor? Yes, sign motion.
Thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate y'all. Yep.
Thank you for coming.
Thank you. Item 7 is the workshop on the streets that we're going to pave. Hope to pave $1 million worth of streets this summer. I went out and looked at streets in the rain yesterday and did a drainage survey at the same time.
Mayor and council, we have Savannah Cunningham who's been working on this project. She's our project manager. I'm sorry, our management analyst.
You got a promotion.
Management analyst, and she will go over the priority listing of the street paving. I'll turn it over to you.
Good evening, everyone. Bobby already said I'll be presenting the proposed streets for the 2021 street paving project. This project will be funded by the bond series 2021 that we will hopefully be approving tonight. Here's the list of the 21 streets that have been brought to staff's attention. These streets have been rated by an average based on the paving condition and the traffic volume. I will be presenting each street based on the location. There will be a summary at the end with cost of each street. Starting with the Southside School area, we have Cook Street. This is between South Travis and College. We have an estimated price of $10,200. It is currently chip and sealed. The volume of traffic is very low here. South Travis is rated at number 6. It's between Fort Worth and Carter that we're estimating for $63,000. The traffic here is heavier. Over in the River Street area, we have River Street rated at number 2. This is a mix between business and residential. The estimated paving for River Street is $46,500. It's a moderate traffic volume throughout this whole area.
Love Street is between 105 and River. It's estimated at 15,000. And then moving on to Love Street, we have an estimation of 11,200. There are 2 manholes on Mayo Street, but this will also complete the paving that was done prior, that leads up to Lovett all the way to, Weber. And then we have Dunham, it's estimated at 47,000. However, we do have a water line between Liberty and River Street that will need to be replaced. Over by Old Cold Springs, Old Cold Springs Road is rated at 11 on our list. The estimation of the paving is 50,000. It's a moderate traffic area, I would say right now. However, this does butt up to the Quick Trip development, and we would possibly expect the traffic to increase there. Also, Kenny is estimated at 22,000. This is also butts up straight to the QT development, and we also expect it. This whole area, the water and sewer lines are in poor condition and will need to be replaced. Across North Washington, we have Bardash. It's rated on our list as number 9. The estimated paving cost is 11,600. It's a moderate traffic volume. And then we have West Booth, this street has heavier traffic. It goes over the railroad tracks. We're not paving that, but it will go over the railroad tracks over by the fire station, just to give you where it is. It's at 11,600 as well. And we have Elizabeth Street, that's moderate traffic at 9,500. Bardash is in the worst condition compared to the other 2 streets. However, the traffic volume at Booth Street exceeds the other 2. Over in Precinct 20, we have East 4th Street, and that has an estimated cost for 18,000. It is a dead end and very light traffic. And we have Ross Avenue between 2nd and 4th Street. That is also light traffic. Ross Avenue is rated as number 8 on our list. Both of these roads, however, are in very bad condition. Over towards Neville Street, we have Lamar. It does have a deteriorated manhole and drain gate. The estimated paving cost is 35,000. Linnea Alfred is rated 15 on our list. This road also needs a whole new water main. The estimated cost of paving is at 35,200. In the Angel Street area, we have Ramey Street. It's rated at 14. There's not very many homes in this area. It is a dead end. The estimated paving for Ramey is 13,000. Rogers Street is also estimated around 13,200, and it is also a dead end, so there's light traffic in both of these areas. Angel Street is the main road to get to Ramey and Rogers. It's estimated at 29,000. It is in fair condition. However, the cross streets, which are Ramey and Rogers, are in deplorable condition, although there are very few homes on Rogers compared to Ramey. Over in the Glen Park area towards Eastside Elementary, we have Perry Street. And this whole area has very heavy traffic due to the school. We have Perry Street from Parkhurst to Fenner at 67,500. Shell from Southline to Truman is currently chip and seal at 14,400. And then Truman to Eastside, the paving is fair compared to other roads. However, the basing is very poor and is in very poor condition. And that's estimated at 200,084, 500. A new water line is needed between Truman and Williams. Jefferson is number 1 on our list. This road Will be needing milling and rebasing at $5 a square foot, which is estimated cost of $384,000. And then lastly, we have a few unpaved areas that are in the Glen Park area. We have Daniel Street, Lyle West, and Culbertson. Culbertson may possibly cross over a pipeline, so the costs are unknown at this time. However, staff does recommend that we wait for developers to come in who are ready to build homes in those areas and let them pave those streets.
Yes, there's Shell and Jefferson one parallel to the east side elementary. They're both in about the same condition. It's the base that's failing. It really went, even though they both rank very high because of the base failure, it's the majority of our costs. When we look at the cost breakdown, we'll go to the next slide after one. So when you look at the summary, you're looking at Jefferson alone being $384,000 out of the entire 1.4 million that you have on the screen. That's quite a bit. I know that there's a lot of traffic on that street. Our thought is that even though both of them are in poor condition, we pick one. So we have a good route down to school. I know some of them one uses buses, the other also has a car pickup. But if we could take care of, the thought is to take care of one of the two streets. In order to spread the improvement around all the neighborhoods, it's a lot of chunk of change to spend in one area. Even though we have a school at that location needs it, our thought is that we do either Jefferson or Shell, and then we're able to spread our ability and flexibility to do other streets. And we have an analysis of that. So you can see the dotted line here. The Savannah's put on her slide. How many streets is that, Savannah?
This is the second option where Shell, the second half of Shell is put towards the end, and we could do 15th Street if we do the milling basing at a later date on Shell. As to if we were doing the milling basing now, we can only do 10 streets. So we can do 5 extra streets.
And the cost that she has listed here is also, the original thought is that we just do the paving on the streets that had good water and sewer lines underneath them. If we do that, we'll never take care of the streets that need taken care of. And honestly, if you have bad water and sewer lines, go ahead and take care of it. So we actually have 4 streets here listed that would also include repair of the water and sewer lines. And those amounts are listed in the column in the second to last column on the right. So we're looking at Shell. There's a portion of Shell that we'd like to do that has $10,000 for water and sewer line improvements. And then Perry has nearly $30,000. Love at $78,000. And Lena Alfred at 27, almost 28,000. These are areas that we really need to take care of, that need to be part of the paving program. We can still do all those streets: Jefferson, River, Shell, Perry, Dunham, South Travis, Mayo, Ross, Bardash, Love, Old Creek Road, Booth, Cook, Ramey, and Lena Alfred, and still be below $1 million.
Shell goes, is that where they pick up a piece on Shell, or is it Jefferson? Shell, so where the parents pick up their kids, is that the front of the school where the bus is going to be in Shell? Anyway, we've got a lot of nice houses on Shell.
I would think that we should do both Jefferson and Shell. I just don't, because they run parallel together. And I think we should do both of them. Now, I have a question though. How do we come by this rating scale? Did someone drive out?
Yeah, we drove out yesterday.
Okay, because I don't see Spanner on here. I think that's Spanner. Spanner is the street that everybody cuts across, get over to, what is that?
We just did.
Huh?
We did.
Already did. They go down to the railroad track? Yeah. Okay, so that's already been done?
That was done in December.
Yeah, now, this is not concrete, Marilyn.
This is subject to
What we're
change.
saying here, though, if you've got a road that we've not looked at and seen, we'll put it on the list. We drove it yesterday, of course, it was coming a flood, but we saw a lot of the drainage in the streets.
And I guess,
We're trying to pick the ones that are absolutely the worst.
right, okay, so Lydia after, where is that street?
That's right on the street.
Is that 787?
It's just doing the 787 yesterday.
That was,
That's the street that, Rose Jones.
I believe it was Gwen previously.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Gwen Street. This.
Here's my other part then, okay, and it's good. The streets that has the moderate traffic on, you know, those may be some streets that you might want to consider to, and I know you said you're trying to get all across the neighborhood, but you may not be able to do that, you know, and when you put it all in one spot, you can see what you're doing, you see the improvement, instead of trying to stretch it from here to here. That's the thing about the moderate.
well, we did, Marilyn, but
One
that's
of
why
them,
we saw
okay,
it.
let me make a
Go
point.
ahead. Go ahead.
And one other part is, Cook Street. Cook Street is a very short. So, you know, that's another thing too. I mean, and it is real bad. I know where that street is, it is real bad.
Right.
But some of the short streets, the moderate, you might want to hold up on the moderate. It's not a whole lot of traffic going through. It's just sort of focus on the ones with the heavy traffic.
Correct.
And maybe something close to a business. And that was my thing, the heavy traffic and close to a business. That way you can see the improvement. Instead of trying to scatter here. You can't satisfy everybody at one time. You know, so you need to get the areas that are most important. That was my plan.
So on our priority list, and if you'll go one slide back, okay, so this is how they ended up in priority order here. It would actually allow us to do less streets, but yes, we would be able to take care of Jefferson and Shell. And what we did our scientific best at basically staff rating this, and we want to bring this to you because we want council to be involved in the process. And if we need to add streets, if you feel like something is not on the list, it doesn't feel like, hey, I really think that this is in worse condition that it needs to be higher on the list. I want to have this discussion. So this is in a workshop format, but we basically graded it on a 1 to 10 scale as far as traffic and a 1 to 10 scale on condition of the street itself. That was basically, and then we took the average, and that's how we did the priority listing. Now that wasn't very scientific, but it was done at staff level. And I actually drove the mayor out and had him drive. We actually looked at drainage while we were looking at streets yesterday. So we could get some eyes on it. And I asked my staff to do the same.
And Marilyn, I can look at places, you know, that maybe where there's two streets intersect, it may just be a bad place right there to pull away. Do this, that area, not say maybe even do the whole street. If the street is in fairly good, you know, shape, just take care of the places that are really coming apart.
Right.
And there are some of those that we know the water and sewer, we got to do that. We need to get that done before we go spend money and put it on top of stuff that we may dig up 2 or 3 months later. We know. Go ahead.
I drove a lot of these streets, looked at them, and they all over town. And it doesn't matter which ones that we choose to repair. There's always going to be one that, you know, it's going to be some questions about. We're not going to be able to satisfy everybody.
But some of these streets here, like Perry Street over there, that's a bad street. Lining Alpha Street, Lamar Street, those streets are. But also on the Shell and the Jefferson, that's going the east side. And I think that should carry a lot of weight. But those streets are nice home. And yeah, it's a nice area. And but I think we kind of covered the whole city, you know, and regardless of which ones that we choose, it's going to be always some that, you know, we could have, you know, so we just, you know, just do the best we can with what the resources that we have.
And if council has some street that they see tomorrow or whenever, we need to bring it up and put it down, that we can put it as a different priority. We feel like these, we know the ones that we got water and sewer, we don't have to worry about, and they're high traffic, I'd like to get those first. And then you can look at what, if it's just a block, some of them are dead ends, but you know, there's still streets, people's houses, and some of them are pretty bad shape.
Well, I think what we really need to look at though is that we are actually doing this. This has been needed for years. And we are in the driver's seat to do this. So I'm just happy that we're doing it. And I think a lot of people are going to be happy to see it.
So I think it's going to make a big difference in our city. I think it really do. Like I say, we're going to miss them. That's why I'm asking y'all.
Yeah.
Could I have to, staff to be evaluating the streets and stuff, but we are going to be having repairs. Now, most definitely do not want to take over a street and come back and have to dig it up because of some line or something. We've done that many times before. Can we prioritize those streets that don't have any services that need to be on and have those done first?
Yes, sir, we looked at that first, and then when we started looking at the streets, it's like, okay, we're passing up some streets that really have some issues. The Linnea Alfred was one of them, and it's in such bad condition, I just don't see staff passing that street. We just need to take care of the water and sewer issues underneath it as part of that project, and we've added that cost in here. So on the preferred option, if you could go to the last slide, that really, you know, everybody's a taxpayer, and to me, it's very important to spread it out. I do see that we need to give priority to businesses, heavy streets. I'd like to start with this list, and I want to give it to council for their review and make some decisions on those streets needed to change up and down from that dotted line. And I think that that's probably the best process. And we should have proceeds here soon for bond. So the weather's going to be good to go ahead and start the overlay project. I'd like to get started this summer. That's what staff wanted to do from the very beginning.
Do we know what month in this summer?
I was planning on July, sometime after July 1.
So we have to go out for bids.
I think that's good if we're going to do those repairs and stuff.
Yeah.
They need to be done. And that's one step way to do it.
I can definitely do all these streets, 21 streets here.
We may be able to do almost all of it. We want to, I'm being conservative with my $1 million here. We may be able to stretch that. We can. I'd like to hear your input on the list of streets, and we can start with.
Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. Appreciate it.
for a few minutes, so I'm gonna go ahead and continue the meeting until he gets back. Okay, we're gonna go on to item number 8, presentation of employee service awards for May of 2021.
Mayor Pro Tem, we have 5 that have a service award. Actually, we have 4. Sorry, we have 4. And the first one is Jacob Snyder. Jacob has been with us in fire department. He's been with us for 5 years. Is Jacob here tonight?
No, sir. Unfortunately, I don't believe any of the service award attendees are here. Mr. Pippin was online, but he must have had to drop off.
We have his award plus a nice coffee cup with our ladder truck on there. So we'll make sure that he gets that. The next is Zach Harkness with 5 years, also with the fire department, and has his service award certificate, and the service award pin, as well as a coffee cup with our fire pumper on. And 15 years is Wesley Matlock with Cemetery Marks. We try to really individualize their coffee cup. So we have Wesley here with his name on the coffee cup, his certificate as well. So we'll get that out to them. And then Kevin Pittman, a 20 years service. He is now our public works director. So if you'd give them a hand for the work that they do.
Thank you. So after the service award, we just want to thank each and every one of those guys for the great job they do for our city. So we're going to move on to item number 9. Presentation of quarterly employee high 5 award.
Mayor Pro Tem, this is a presentation that we give quarterly for a high 5 award. And this quarterly award goes to Joe Rosas and Megan Kroll. On Monday, April 26th, Officer Joe Rosas and Megan Kroll, thank you for joining us. We're patrolling the area on 59 when they observed a vehicle driving at a high rate of speed. After making a traffic stop on the speeding vehicle, officers later discovered a large amount of marijuana and assault type firearm. A pretty scary firearm. I can see a picture of that. 3 individuals were taken into custody and charged with possession of marijuana, which is a state jail felony, and unlawfully carrying that weapon. The chief, is Chief here? Chief, please stand. Chief, will you do the honors? Will you come on out and give them their award for this event? I will say Rosas has been with the department for 6 years, is that correct? And Megan Kroll, you know,
about 2 weeks. More than shock to her on that stop. She learned it's not just a routine traffic stop. These guys did a very good job. I'd just like to commend them because, again, it wasn't just a routine stop, and it was a good learning experience for Officer Crowell with all the paperwork, as well as you never know who you're pulling on. We've got a very high, powerful firearm assault type rifle inside the car, all through from Louisiana, and we're proud to recommend people.
presentation by John DeSalmas with a Bachelor of Services of Landscape Services.
Good evening, y'all. We were invited up here to speak with y'all. We were driving through y'all's city with a couple of councilmen and people from the city that were discussing y'all's landscaping and beautifying the areas of Cleveland in this area. Ambassador Service has been around since 2007 in the Houston surrounding area. So we've serviced multiple municipalities throughout the area, from Houston to outside of Katy to Sugar Land, to Angleton, going up towards Waller, coming out towards the Woodland. We do multiple services. We try to put everything together so it could be a maintenance package basically for a lot of municipalities, businesses, hospitals, things of that nature, and landscaping is one of them. We went through and we looked at a lot of the areas that the city's looking to improve. And I brought Sean Lawson along with me, who is our manager of all of our landscaping divisions. So I'd like Sean to come up and let you know what we got planned for y'all.
Thank you, John. Mr. Mayor, council members, thank you for having us. It's going to be a hard act to follow for a traffic stop involving marijuana and assault weapons, but I'll do my best. Everyone has a packet that they can follow along with. We're not going to cover every single slide tonight, but basically, as John said, we're a full service landscape company, meaning that we do it all from the design stage all the way up to the installation and maintenance. There you go. So basically, as you see here, we also do drainage work as far as, in the landscape. We do irrigation services. We do large tractor mowing, right-of-way mowing, streetscapes, and plantings. We also provide a number of additional services that go with that, meaning tree work, emergency tree removals, storm care, after storms, things like that. Like John said, we were asked to come out here and take a look and look at some areas for future development. We provided some information for y'all to look at and decide if y'all wanted to retain us to do that. The main thing I can say is the overwhelming note of today's council meeting is growing pains, and it's good. They can be troublesome from the beginning, but in the end, everybody comes out ahead, and you guys are set right now to make some significant improvements on many fronts. And we at Ambassador hope that you'll give us the opportunity to work with y'all to help that dream come true. Thank you.
Sean, and would y'all like to discuss, I know that we've given you our RFP that we did have open, and y'all had some discussion with council member and some staff, and you understand our idea. Can you break it down to council to let them understand what the process is? I believe phase 1 is going to be design, and then since we've not done this before, can you break it down into the processes for us?
Absolutely. So the RFP was not exactly clear in defining a role of how this was going to proceed. So when we started looking at it and we met with council at the town mall, we decided that the best approach would be to provide this in 3 separate phases. Phase 1 being just a design and planning phase, where we meet with council, we meet with the beautification committee and anybody else that wants to be a part of that. At that point, we take all that information together and we can go 2 ways. We can have a licensed set of landscape architect plans designed and drawn. Those would include everything from one of the things that we noticed along the train tracks, there's going to be some right-of-way issues. There's also some significant drainage issues now from the construction of the sidewalks and a few flower beds. So those will need to be addressed. There would be a set of plans for that. There would also be a set of plans for irrigation and then a planting plan, so that all those things work together. And this is long range planning. So whether or not you have the funds to do it within the next year or 2, 10 years from now, there's still a guiding force for somebody to pull that out and say, all right, we looked at this in 2021. This is what's going to go here and here and here, and then you can bid it and execute it. Phase 2 would be taking said plan, providing y'all with a proposal for the exact work to implement that plan, whether that be the irrigation, drainage, everything that we've just discussed. And then the final proposal would be for maintaining that after the installation. So the maintenance portion of this would be exactly what you're thinking about: fertilization, mowing, sprinkler repairs if there's an accident where somebody drives through the landscape, those types of items. And then in addition, we were asked to also look at some other city locations to get a thought process of trying to make the overall plan flow with every city building. So that what you see in town mall, you still see at City Hall, or you see at the library, or you see at the police station, what have you. It's got that same feel to it throughout, and then maintaining that. Does that answer your question? Okay.
It's also, I'm sorry, also the basket that takes down houses, walls, and just helping us with everything that we talked about.
Yes, sir. We are capable, like I said earlier, we're a full service company. We're happy to work through all of that. We do offer all types of streetscape work, as well as maintenance and, maintaining hanging baskets or porter service for, a park area down here.
But you didn't do the design, is that correct?
Say that again?
But you did not do the design?
No design have been done yet. We're just kind of in the early planning stage. So we're trying to get together some information, and that's what this RFP was about.
The price they gave Ms. Clay was for engineering plans, architectural. So they would meet with a design group, and they would come up with a design, and you can either have the architect license drawings, or you can have the drawings without the architect label on them. So the costs are in the booklet, and that would be phase 1. For them to come out and decide what is on our plan. They would create the design for us, and then we would implement phase 2.
Right.
What was the final, I'm sorry, what was the final phase?
Maintenance, for maintaining.
This is a long-term project.
And that way they could also have input. I think there was supposed to be another project of people that were supposed to be involved besides the council for the beautification. We'd be meeting with all them to get a clear understanding of what y'all are looking for also too. It's not just our recommendations, it's coming from y'all and from the people that will be on that committee to help plan what's going to be planted and how it's going to be maintained in the future of what it looks like. Because you got many different seasons happening. So, you can't just go to a flower store and buy flowers and plant them because they're gonna be dead in a month or 2 months. We're looking at stuff that's gonna last long-term. And then also too, you're gonna have your seasonal changes too. But this way we can plan that ahead of time, and y'all have a set plan of what it looks like all the time. So that way, no matter who's around, it's gonna be the same consistently, if not being improved.
We're facing hurricane season coming up.
And clean up and all that fun stuff too, yeah. Right.
Thank you for your presentation. Very,
Okay.
very helpful.
Thank you.
I appreciate the time we spent on Friday together.
Thank you. We enjoyed it.
I really like the scope of everything.
Sounds good. Thank you.
Thank you.
No, sir, they did not bid. We do have an item on the, under discussion and action on number 29, in regards to that. But we did do an RFQ, and unfortunately, we did not have any bidders. However, they actually bid on our janitorial RFQ, and they had a flyer in the janitorial, which we opened, and stated that they did landscaping. So we immediately contacted them and said, hey, come on out. We'd like to talk to you about this product. So, yes, sir.
They know about what we do.
They're going to learn what we want. We put bids out for this program. We were delayed several months from it. But now it's time to do it. ability to.
Well, I mean, it sounds like the scope of this based on the recommendation. So what I just suggested this evening is sit down and come up with a more responsive phase, request for proposals, whatever you want to call it. I have no idea how much, what they're talking about is going to cost. I doubt it's going to be.
$37,000 for the architect and $18,000 for the non-licensed architect, and we can provide a proposal for us today.
Well, and that's for phase.
Yes, sir, for phase one.
So we're going to go.
Okay, so that means on number 29, we would discuss at that point, but Mr. Olson did say that we would have to go out for bid again.
Even though we have no.
I mean, we're limited by state law, so what they're proposing is
Right.
So, my suggestion was, yeah, it sounds like what they're proposing is a little more comprehensive than what we initially went out for. So my suggestion is, in fact, if you want to move up to that item, we can go ahead and take care of it.
Okay. But it's gonna cost in the beginning to create this landscape. We had nobody do that on at all. So I welcome the bid back, and I would welcome your bid. So that we can get started on this, because we've delayed on this. We've already had flowers in the ground in March. And that was tabled and postponed by EDC. And we're ready to move. Our city is ready for growth and beautification. And we needed it yesterday. Thank you.
Sean, could you provide a timeline so that council can understand the different phases? How long would phase one take on the design?
So on the design aspect, that was meetings, 6 meetings were allotted for the beautification committee as well as council to come up with a concise, plan, if you will. Then it will be implemented in formal drawings. That's going to take probably a couple of months for that to happen. At that point, it doesn't take very long once those are agreed upon to generate a proposal and quote for the actual install and work to be done. And at the same time, maintenance can be proposed along that same timeline, as long as we have a clear plan and understanding of what needs to be maintained and what locations.
All right, so we're looking at, if we went with that plan, a couple of months, we're probably looking more toward the fall before anything would be in the ground.
Correct.
Say.
Yes. So 2 months for the design phase, a couple months after that for implementation, and then maintenance after the beginning of the year. All right.
Thank you very much for the clarification.
Yeah.
Also, there's not a plan too. We have a lot of holidays. We Thanksgiving, Halloween, and Christmas all at the same time. Thank you.
Can I ask a question, please? So is this including other areas other than the mall area?
Yes, ma'am. So it's also including the facility. I would like to know if council is looking for stamped plans, architectural plans, or if we're want to do something a little less than that.
I don't think we need architects. No, thank you.
I didn't think we were going to do that.
And that's why I'm asking that.
Well, I'm assuming City Hall, City Center,
Yeah, this originally came up because we wanted to do something in the downtown area. We had gone to EDC for assistance because of the phase one of the sidewalk plan. We couldn't have the landscaping as part of the actual grant. So we literally had some flower beds there that have been empty. I'm looking for some landscape assistance so we can do it right. If we want to focus on that area first and then branch out to the facility, that might be a plan. I would like some input from the committee. And I know that we have an ad hoc committee that's formed. I would ask for them to go back and meet and decide kind of what the scope would be. I prefer to just take a bite and just the downtown area and focus on that with the idea of expanding it to our facility. I do like the continuity of having some kind of landscape that brings all the city together. We need somebody like that that can put it together. I don't know if it's, I don't think that we need to have stamp plans at this point. I think we need to get something in the ground or downtown. I want it to be nice. I want it to be something somewhat permanent, that we can all have pride in, and just move forward. As far as being stamped or not, that depends on if it'll be an RP or an RQ.
Well, I mean, we can certainly get the requirements of qualification because of their professional architecture. Whether they're landscaping or not.
I think the committee and the city deserves, area like that. It's been too long coming, and we've tried so many times to adopt a program for a flower bed or a potter downtown. It starts out well, and it just finishes along with a lot of other things. But we've got to have a, well, what did you call it today? We had a plan that was, you used the term.
Cocktail napkin? Cocktail napkin?
No, not
Oh.
cocktail napkin. We make a lot of-
Okay, yeah.
But it was some kind of plan that you had specifically.
Well, city manager said it was a continuity plan. It was something that was going to continue throughout the city so that whether you're at City Hall or you're in the mall, it all not necessarily looks the same, but has the same feel. The other thing that I mentioned at that time was that this is a long-range planning goal. Obviously you've got street improvements that you're working on. You've got, I'm sure, other projects that are, needing time and money spent to it. So hence the reason, this is one of those deals where it will take a little bit to get to that. Now, I did also provide you with the cocktail napkin price, as well as if, by chance you needed stamped license plans.
James, I think your committee, Carolyn, is good. Okay, y'all need to discuss, because we're not gonna do it all. We never intended to do, this is small, but it's all get within, talk to them.
It's a yearly process.
Yeah.
Just not to do the law and stop the law. Next year, or the year before, we may end up coming on downtown street.
I'm not willing to spend $37,000 on
Unification?
No, not. We're talking about the downtown area, not necessarily City Hall or City Center.
We talked about that for many years.
I understand that, but
17 years. And we can't get allowed to do it. So I'm not gonna spend the time. We can do what you want.
Carolyn, what do you?
I like the idea of it. I know we originally thought that this was all, but I would like to see it continue throughout the town also. I don't know that we have to have an architect. I'm not quite sure what that plays in. Do y'all not draw up the plans, or do you not draw it up?
We can draw them up, but they will not be licensed or stamped by a licensed architect. I do not, you may not require that, but.
And that would mean what?
An additional cost. An additional cost. So.
If you come out with us.
Well, if y'all use an architect, there's no step. They're professionals, so you have to have the qualifications, right? They would submit whatever architect wants to use. They don't have it now, but I think for a project this size, scope, be inferred that they can handle the project without getting stamped. But my suggestion is that crew take this already created, sit down with these folks, come up with a revised request for proposals or business, whatever you want to call it. Go out there, we're gonna have to do it legally anyways, and see what comes back. If they're the only ones that come back, that's fine, we'll do the work, that's what you want to do. We can, I think Carolyn and Ms. Cook, you know, work something out that we won't have. y'all want to skip a step about, if you want to see the scope of the proposal before it goes out. As collectively as a council, that's something you're interested in. Do you want to delegate that to the city manager in the ad hoc committee so that we don't have to come back to council and get the proposal?
The proposal that we did send out in your packet, we did provide a copy of the RFQ.
So the whole point is that our committee is to come up with whatever revised. Limited in our town, all city facilities, whatever you want. But it's not gonna look like what we. So like, again, I think that they understand that we can do what we can do a year. Next year, we'll come back and add to it.
Right, but that's the problem. It has to be a phased approach, not to be able to do it otherwise.
Yeah.
No, it is a phased approach, and that's all of our.
So y'all can go back and discuss with them, and then we'll move, right?
I will propose to make a motion that we'll take this back to the landscaping committee. Ms. McWater, Ms. Cook, and Mr. Lacy, and with the ambassador, and we'll sit down and with Bobby, with her, and we'll discuss that. So if you want to table this, or whatever we need to do.
Well, really, the only direction staff needs, I think we collectively understand that we're gonna work to come up with a revised, request for proposal.
Okay.
Based on the input we've got from the experts. So do you want to see that request for proposal before it goes out and bless it, or do you want to delegate that to the city?
I'd like to see it.
Anybody on council of fraud delegating that to ultimately city manager's office and what that proposal looks like? Again, you'll have an opportunity to look at any response.
Yeah, okay. I would like feedback as a member of the committee. Do you agree? You're happy with that? Carolyn? I mean, Carolyn?
Yes.
Fred?
Did I hear earlier the EDC was not?
The EDC was asked to participate in this. If you
I
remember.
believe some of them didn't agree to do it. And I don't know if we've been involved.
Well, it started out being a group, EDC, Carolyn.
And Rob, like,
Yeah.
Right, and we haven't met the EDC. So you are participating, Carol. You were the first one to table the whole landscaping thing, the first time it came out. So that's why we are here where we are today, and we have to talk about that.
Fred, do you think we need to go from one proposal that they bring and bring it to the EDC and bring it to the council? Money.
My intent was to share the cost between EDC and the city, and that's, I believe that was the recommendation of the council.
Well, yeah, and it will be for the whole package. For it, I think that start somewhere of it.
what we need to do, Mr. Mayor. So we'll go on to our next item.
Almost 20.
No, we skipped over.
The 37,000 is solid. I mean, all of it. I mean, y'all actually put into it. Or?
Oh, yes, not pull it out. You gotta remember, there's another number that's in there for not the license fee.
Right.
And I'm sorry, but these gentlemen came down in a rush on Friday, and it's just not the whole.
Yeah, I understand.
And it's very short time. So I appreciate all the work that you put in involved.
We gonna take this.
I don't think there's,
I think what I suggest here is, I heard Fred say that since the EDC is going to be involved part in the funding, they'd like to at least look at the proposal before that's out. Would you like to delegate somebody to sit on the committee, or do you want to have a group?
We have somebody on the committee, and that's the place.
Will that suffice?
Yeah, too long.
Okay, so it's up to council ultimately if you want again to delegate that to the city manager and or bring it back for
approval before it goes out. And you can bring it back to council and EDC. Or you can just delegate it and say, to the city manager and ad hoc committee. What do you think, Bruce? Excuse me, what? Mrs. Carroll, could you share with us what you shared with Cook just a moment ago? Could you please come up and share? We can't hear you from back here. Please come to the podium. Well, you may not want to hear what I have to say either.
Would you repeat the name of people on the design, this landscape?
Yes, sir. I was in chair of it. The name, James Franklin, Carolyn McWaters, Ms. Sherry Cook, and Mr. Robert Lacy is the committee for this landscaping.
Okay, and when I shared with Ms. Cook, has she been involved in your meetings? And she said no.
Well, we haven't been involved in any meetings because we haven't had any meetings. This is the first time we've been able to talk to you, because you tabled it from the first time out. We're just not getting this far and getting things together so that we can come up with something. We're just designing the committee.
Franklin, this is a public meeting. I'm not going to argue. I tabled the first time because we weren't involved in being put on the agenda. And then I tabled it. When it's put on the agenda, we passed it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate all you do.
Mr. Franklin, did you say you met with them last Friday?
Yes, and that was just my short notice because Ms. Angela and Ms. Jennifer, Angela and Jennifer found ambassadors while they were looking for Jennifer. I didn't just bring this up out of nowhere and brought it to the school council. It was so I was asked if I would come and meet with the gentleman and see what they had to propose for us. That was what our committee wanted. We had nothing else. We've had no committee meetings because we've had nothing to work on. This is the first thing we've had to work on. I appreciate everybody. I'm not trying to start some trouble. I'm trying to get some plans in the ground. I'm trying to get Cleveland beautified. And if we can't put a road or a seat in the ground and it takes 6 or 7 months and this much trouble, I'll buy the plants myself.
James, you know, I like that round up. Wrong. So I do all this.
I like the
all this, the gallon around. I think I'd like to know what the vote.
Yeah, and I also do agree that EDC needs to be a part of that process. If they're funding the project, and they also need to be a part of that process. I think that we can get this done in some kind of committee form and then come back to both council and EDC to get it.
And I like to say that I never said one time that I did not want to see this space.
Yeah, we're okay.
Mayor, I think staff has all the direction.
Okay.
I think so.
Okay.
Everybody. I make a motion, we move on to the next slide.
Okay. I don't even know what that is. Public comment, I'm assuming, Jim.
Yes.
Item 11 is public comment. Jim, come on, give us a chamber.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, and council members, I appreciate being here tonight. Some of you we saw today at the Taste of Cleveland. It's the first actual event we've had this year where we had a lot of public people coming in. We had about 200 people, 32 booths. And the word we got back was the food was great, everything was great. So we appreciate all the support we get from the city, but we're back in groove now. Next Tuesday, we have at the log cabin, we have an after hours. It's kind of an after hours networking and a new member reception. So we take all the new members who came in for the first 4 months of the year, and they'll have tables there, plus all the other members and other people in the city. So we put on a lot of new members so far this year. On Wednesdays, our Chamber 101. If anyone doesn't know what a chamber is, come on down. Get a free lunch with it too. Thursday, June 3rd is our Chamber Luncheon. It's going to be a Cornerstone Church. Speaker is Noel Salick. Text up. If you want to ask some questions, that's a good place to answer them. And then our Outdoor Expo is June 5th. And we didn't have it last year because of COVID, but it's a great thing. It's a super kid zone. We have outdoor vendors, inside vendors. got archery for the kids, BB gun for the kids, and axe throwing for the kids. So, we've got a catch and release fish tank, safety seminars. We'll have a life flight helicopter coming in. We've got a bunch of different trucks, touch a truck. We'll have fire trucks, police vehicles, SWAT teams, things like that. And we'll have our rattlesnake pit again this year. That was one of the most popular events the year before, in 2019. And then Thursday, June 10th is our Cleveland Connections. That's the only networking group in Cleveland. It's once a month. It's Fat Floyd's Smokehouse. And then we've initiated, the Chambers initiated a new entity called Leadership East Texas. And the mission is identify and recruit potential leaders from East Texas, educate current and potential leaders, provide experience to local community enhancing leadership skills, facilitate relationships to build among our new leaders, and encourage the exchange of ideas for our community and the area. And we're seeking right now memberships. We have some cities have signed up for it. We've got some school districts that have signed up for it. We're looking for EDCs to sign up for it. I'll be by, Fred. And we're looking for county commissioners to sign up for it too. It's a great program. It's going to create some homegrown leaders, which we are desperate need in our communities. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, you said use the network, what day is that? Is that for the public or this?
The Tuesday night, yeah, it's a chamber sponsored event, but it's not a chamber event. That's I'm sorry, next Tuesday. That's at the log cabin, and that's kind of a networking, and you meet some of the leaders, some of the businesses in town, plus you meet the new businesses that have joined the chamber this year so far. And there's food.
Thank you. We have any more?
Is there anybody left on Zoom? If you'd like to speak in public comment, please unmute yourself or use the chat feature.
No comment.
Mayor, there are no comments.
Okay. Item 12 is reports and comments from City Council, Mayor, and City staff. Only thing I have a comment is we do have a food drive Saturday. Hope we have a lot of volunteers. Dan,
Grow. You grow in things with the grow.
Yeah.
The good thing about it is that we are grow with the grow.
Go.
I just want to thank you, everybody that came out on May 8th for renaming the First Street to Johnson Street. We had a beautiful turnout. I want to thank Alicia for showing up, and also the police department and our sheriff department and Commissioner Zach Harden for coming out in our neighborhood, and also the Juneteenth. If you want me to just make an announcement. The Juneteenth parade, everyone is welcome to participate. Or you can contact Ms. Darlene Davis at 281-435-6720 if you want to be a part of it. Everybody's welcome. They still got a few things they got to work out with the city, but everyone will be at the Sanctuary Church on June 19th at 11 o'clock.
Carol.
Just thank all y'all for coming tonight. Really appreciate it. Thank you, Judge Fuller, for swearing us in. Just to repeat, the food drive this weekend, the 22nd, starts at 11 a.m. to 2:30 p.m. and all the food is distributed. And we do need volunteers, and there is a volunteer link that you can go on to sign up. So if you know anybody that wants to come out and help, just guide them over to that link and have them to come out to the food drive. And this is going to be in the Civic Center parking lot. Yes, sir.
Display that signupunion.com.
Yes, yes, sir. Thank you.
Brad, do you sign that? First shift or second shift? John?
And I'd just like to thank everyone, too, I appreciate everybody as much as I can, I appreciate you. But I'd also like to tell you that thank everybody for showing up on Thursday. Food frenzy for the food truck at Central Park. It's been a very good success. We had a great turnout on the first Thursday, the second Thursday, was just as crowded and festival, and I just want to appreciate the people that helped put that together and all of the community and people that support it. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is the COVID.
I just want to mention Play for Cake fundraiser is September 10th and 11th. Also, it's Public Works Appreciation Week. And they did a fantastic job with police and fire on May 11th with the storm and getting our basically our streets. We had a lot of down trees and they worked till midnight to get that done and get those streets passable. So very appreciative. We're going to feed them on Friday for Public Works Appreciation Week. And Chief, I believe we also, this is Police Appreciation Week. Was that last week? Yes. That was last week. And this week is Public Works Appreciation. And we covered the Juneteenth parade. We had the Texas Theater anniversary. And we also had a library annual science project. There was some judging that was done today, so we'll have that in your report as far as who won the science projects at the library. And food drive on May 22nd. That's all I have.
And
We had on May the 3rd to the 8th, I believe, was Municipal Clerks Recognition Week. So I just want to give a shout out to Jennifer. She is a awesome deputy clerk, deputy city secretary. She's learning a lot and she makes the job easy. So thank you.
anyone else? Okay, item, well, this is consent. We need to take out the consent agenda. We need to take 25 and 26. We need to discuss that.
That's correct, Mayor. And we had Joe Morrow and Mr. Jonathan Burrell here. And if you guys, one of you would stand up and share the good news that we have on our bond.
Very good. Good evening, Bobby. Thank you. Mayor, members of council, Joe Morrow with Hilltop Securities, Jonathan Frells with Gracewell. There's actually two items of good news. One, as we were preparing for your bond sale, we went to Moody's Investor Service for a rating. And as a result of our application and phone call exchange of information, the city was upgraded from an A2 rating to an A1 rating. So congratulations. In this booklet behind the fourth tab is a copy of that report, and I would encourage you to read that when you have a few moments. It talks about some of the really good things happening, some of the credit strengths of the city, which among are your strong operating reserves. On the scorecard, you scored very highly on management and financial results. Also, they noted that you have a manageable debt level and that right now you're experiencing quite a bit of economic activity and growth of both residential and industrial on the horizon. So those were all things that led to the upgrade. On their scorecard, they actually have it that the rating would be indicative of AA3. And what that means to me is that in another 3 to 4, maybe 5 years, with continued growth, you're gonna have another upgrade on your hand. So, you know, they're seeing the positive trend and the ability of the city to manage the growth that's coming your way. So congratulations on your forward thinking and planning, and keep it up. So the next thing then would be behind tab 1. You're going to see a chart, which is the BBI General Obligation Index. Okay, this is a graph of interest rates, and we use this very much like the S&P 500 tracks the stock market. This is what we use to track and give us an indication of direction in interest rates. You can see on the far left of that we have been toying with the historic lows here. We're just a little bit off of those historic lows. So the index is currently at a 2.28 for the manner in which they measure it. Now, today we did go into the market and ask for competitive bids to be submitted. We had 4 firms that had signed up. We got bids from 2 firms at the time that bids were due at 10:45. One, and this would be behind tab number 2, you'll see the bids that we got. Raymond James and Associated had the winning bid with a true interest cost of 1.965. And the covered bid was from BOK Financial Securities at a 2.166. Now, keep in mind that this is the true interest cost is average of your rates in a sense over the entire 25-year term. So this is indicative of the rate that you're getting for a 25-year borrowing. You had multiple pieces of debt that we had at different maturity streams. The fire station was the piece that went out for 25 years, and that's how we got to a maturity of 25 years. If you look behind tab number 3, you can see the debt service, and this is on the entire amount of debt. We've got it broken up by project, so as you go into your budget, you'll be able to split that out and fund it from the appropriate source, whether it's water and sewer or tax back. But you can see the coupon structure that they put on it and your annual debt service. So on your borrowing, because they paid a premium, we're still going to put $8 million into your project funds. And on that $8 million, you'll pay $2,151,000 in interest. You also have the option, if the market conditions exist where you can save money, to call your bonds. You'll be able to do that in 9.5 years. Also, if you happen to have the cash rather than refinance, you could pay down some of that debt. And that wraps up my presentation for this. I'd be happy to answer the questions that you may have. We would recommend that you accept the winning bid at 1.9. Yeah, that's a good bid. Okay. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
I just want to say this was staff and council's goal for a very long time to improve our bond rates. And we've done it. I would like to come back, Joe, work really hard. The next time we go out, it'll be a while. We're taking out 8. That we improve our rating. And we will work hard on this bid to on the financial side, on the management side, to continue to improve the city's rating as we move on and become a bigger and better city. And 1.96 is fantastic.
25 is to approve an ordinance authorizing the issuance of City of Cleveland, Texas General Obligation Refunding Bond Series 2021, levying a tax payment, therefore authorizing redemption prior to maturity outstanding obligations, providing for the award and sale of said bonds according to certain parameters and enacting other provisions relating thereto. So this is actually accepting that.
Yes, and Jonathan has something he'd like to talk about.
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Mayor, members of council, I did want to stop you on this real quick because this is the refunding bond that we're going to talk about in a moment to talk about how you can save some additional money, potentially on some outstanding debt. It's actually item 26. That's the ordinance authorizing the sale of the COs. And so that's the one you would need to adopt in order to approve the sale that Joe just discussed.
Okay, so we're gonna do item 26 and then we'll do item 27.
Yes, sir.
25 I just read, but we're going to go to 26, approval of ordinance authorizing the issuance of sale of the City of Cleveland, Texas combination tax revenue certificates of obligation series 2021 levy tax, providing for the security and payment thereof, enacting other provisions relating thereto.
Mr. Mayor, there are no other discussions. I make a motion to approve item number 26.
Any other discussion with council? All those in favor? Oh, okay. Carolyn, we just need a record of the vote.
Aye.
Marilyn. Aye. Danny.
Aye.
Good.
Okay, Mr. Mayor.
25, that we've already read that.
Okay, Mr. Mayor, there are no other questions. Oh, okay.
On that 25, anything else?
No, not on the new money. No, on the refunding. The refunding is 25. Okay, the refunding. All right.
Right. Money, we're good.
Yeah, and one of the things that we have on the agenda is, since rates are low, to take advantage of that fact and refinance some of your existing, just as you have the option to prepay on these bonds that you just issued in 9.5 years. We're approaching that date for significantly one bond issue that will mature and we can pay off on September 1. So we're within the window of time in which we can go ahead and take action to refinance that at a lower rate. Tonight, what you're going to be approving is allowing us to do that as long as we reach certain targets that are set in the ordinance. So if we can't hit those, we can't refinance without coming back and talking to you about that. But that is what that item is, and I'd be happy to answer any questions that you may have on that. And I believe we had a set of numbers in the packet. The ordinance.
Sure those parameters.
And Bobby is aware of the things that we need to continue to do in order to meet.
Yes.
Originally, we were talking about a $30,000 savings. We're done.
We're around 8%. The last time we ran it of par, and I believe we're somewhere around 2.5 million. So on a net present value basis, I think that's somewhere around 160, 170,000.
Okay. I'll make a motion.
That's not all I'm thinking. We're gonna have a part of Dan, your vote.
Okay. Aye.
Carry.
No, we're good.
I just have to list it on the board, and it specifically state common people, so that no include houses.
Okay, that vote makes. Okay, the consent agenda. Go ahead.
We're only consented to that. And maybe see if we could take a vote on it. I would like it to, number 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, and we're going to discuss 25.
Okay, thanks. If we vote again.
Item number 16,
So basically, we're doing.
we're doing all of them except for 13, 14, 15, and 24. And I would also like to ask council, since we're in the consent part of the agenda, that instead of coming to the consent item and saying, let's approve item 16 through 25 or 7 or 8, because in these documents, I would like to remove the consent item as one group and move them back to the regular agenda so that we are discussing every item, because there's a lot of legal terms inside here, and there's a lot of times that we may not get a chance to really understand and be clarified on a lot of these legal terms and contracts that I may throw on. And if there's something, I know we can pull that out, but there's some things that are worded that can be skipped, and some people that may not even look at it. So if it's appropriate.
Well, it's council's decision.
Well, that's what I'm reading this up.
I'm reading.
If it's appropriate.
I'm reading.
If it's appropriate.
I'm gonna vote on something.
I would like to vote on that we do the consent item back to regular agenda and not approve everything on the line. I know we're sticking. I just
Well,
don't know if everybody on the same page.
that's what I'm asking the council. How do you want to do it? Carolyn?
I would like to, if we're gonna have a vote on it, I'd like to make a motion that we move the consent item back to a regular agenda.
You can say the ones you want to take out and
Hold on, Angel.
Make a motion that all future agenda items be placed in open discussion rather than having a consent. I believe that to be your.
That could be my motion, correct. I'd like to make the motion that we do.
in the motion.
What did I miss?
Essentially, the motion on the table is not have a consent agenda. Everything being action. That's the practice.
I get my packet on Friday. Just me personally, I'm not gonna vote on anything that I haven't known. I've been going over this since Saturday. So, you know, but if y'all, other people feel different, that's fine. That's just my opinion.
So why is it necessary to make this change? What is the problem?
Well, Jack said that there's things on there that we need to discuss. I don't
Well,
know.
we
That's
can
up to
just
y'all.
continue to
now.
do what we do, just take that item off and discuss it. No, so what is the problem with that?
But he wants to take care of everything.
No, I don't agree with that. If you have an item that you would like to discuss, then you alleviate that particular item and discuss it.
We haven't done that in the past, and now we're going to do it like that. I just feel that something, applies and falls through the crack with different wording and terminology. I would like to go and review every item.
You don't do that before the meeting, James?
Absolutely.
We have a motion from James. Second.
That's actually what I'm trying to say. This here pipeline stuff. If we could like discuss it before we vote on it.
We have to clarify. Marilyn said that.
That's what we do. Because
Any member of the council wants to discuss something that's on a consent agenda, you pull.
Yeah.
It's not unusual to have a consent agenda for routine administrative. But there is a motion, a second.
But what I think is, what I think is, if it's
So we still can discuss
I
it,
can
James.
still
We
discuss
haven't-
right now. Yeah, but, no, they don't, council. My point is, if there's something on the agenda, on the consent agenda, that I don't understand, I will pull that out and we discuss it. Some of the things are just really those simple routine stuff that we do every month that, that we should, be up to date on. That's just my opinion.
Thing, so we can't take everything. This is what I would like.
We have a motion from James, a second from the board. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Those against? Motion passed. Thank you. So we're going to start tonight. Well, no, that would go to the future. We have, it's my understanding there, which he's wanting to pull out.
I pulled out what I and this is for future being going forward. There will be no more consent items. We've all voted to have.
I don't think it's good.
We voted on it.
It's a start.
It's a vote.
So tonight, we're going on everything going through the night, and from further on, we'll start breaking it down, so we all.
Like Angela said, we can't vote on things that are on the agenda related to this meeting. So it can only be attributable.
Yes, okay.
What I'm saying, if there's something on here, we get out of packets on Friday, something on the consent agenda that you got a question about. We usually just pull that item out for discussion. Sometimes it's 2 or 3 items, or maybe 4 items. But sometimes it's stuff that's on that consent agenda that's just, 2 plus 2. We've already discussed it, we already know what we're gonna do. Right, that's fine. I mean, that's how they take their thing.
Mayor, just in the interest of clarification for the record, please identify the consent agendas that will be voted. If you have not voted. I'm assuming that's 13, 14, I heard you didn't pull 20, but 24 and 26. So those 5 items. 13, 14, 15, 20, 20.
Yes, there is items on board. This is number 16, 17, 18, 19, 21, 22, 23, and 24. We've already discussed 25. No, I said, you asked me what ones are not being pulled. Then you asked me what ones are being pulled. The ones that are not being pulled are 13, 14, and 15. 20, and 24. Correct. We already gone through 25 and 26. I'd like to pick up and take action on 16, 17, 18, 21, 22, 23.
Okay, we need a motion for 13, 14, 15, 20, and 24. Do we have a motion that we accept those consent agenda? Okay. James made the motion for seconded right now. Okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Yeah. Silent.
The motion is just to approve the consent items number 13, 14, 15, 20, and 24. That's the motion, is just to approve those items on consent. Correct, that's just to approve those items under the consent agenda. How do you vote? Okay. Do we have a unanimous vote, Mayor?
Item 16, why don't you read that?
This is, you know, 16.
James, what did you have, sir, what's your problem with 16?
This is the problem. I want to hear what everybody has to say about it. You know, I have my opinion, and I know everybody else has an opinion. You sit here and laugh all you want.
James, all right.
I don't need my opinion. Don't come and deal with it. So, I'm always trying to get you.
So staff received a request from Brooks Gas LLC and Centric Fiber. They're going by Centric Fiber. One thing is we didn't want to have two franchises within the city. And so we didn't want to have overlapping gas lines. That's not the issue that's happening here. Staff got additional information. We understand that Centric Fiber is working with LGI Homes. They've done 25 home development neighborhoods of LGI. And their home office is in the Woodlands. And so basically their niche market is they pick up on areas where maybe the gas companies, CenterPoint isn't ready to pick up this yet. And so they really work with LGI in providing the gas as well as the fiber. And I know fiber has been a big issue for rural areas like ourselves. And so the whole bonus that we're getting here is that all the residents within the LGI Pinewood Grove will get high-speed internet as well as gas. Now, the portion that's already been built is 100% electric, but in phase 2, they want to go to gas. We had a long discussion with them. I was very impressed with Centric Fiber. And this franchise will only be limited to that area in Montgomery County that is Pinewood Grove. And basically, it's going to offer a level of service that is higher than what we've received in the past because of the high-speed internet and bundling that with gas. So staff is in complete favor of adopting this franchise. Yes, and Mr. Bard is here as well, and he can also answer any questions that council may have related to Centric Fiber.
Very narrow.
This ordinance is limited in scope to just the LGI development in Pinewood Trails. So there is no overlap. They did revise the ordinance. They extended it for the entire city and we reduced the scope to just LGI Pinewood Trails as they were requested by LGI to do so.
We've already talked about it.
I don't understand what you're.
But we've already voted on it. So let's just move on with the consent agenda.
All those in favor? We have a motion from Dave. Carolyn. consideration and possible action on awarding bids for recent request for bids for janitorial service from the city of Mississippi. Well, these people have been here all night. We know. 20. Okay, 28, yeah.
So item 28 is related to council getting approval for us to go out for bid for facility cleaning. And staff had looked at the 6 bids that they received. And the bids were open on May 11th, 2021 at 2 p.m. 3 of the bidders requested to walk through the facility prior to the bidding. The facilities that are included in the bid are City Hall, Police Department and Court, Austin Memorial Library, and Public Works. The Civic Center is not included in there because we do have event workers that will be handling that facility. And our recommendation based on the price and best bid is ambassador services. And that was from the scoring of the committee.
Who's doing it now? Current vendors, M&M.
Correct.
How could you go from $86,000?
That's not what we're paying right now. Right now, we're paying in the ballpark of about $42,000.
Understand. It is.
Yes, M&S did rebid at $86,000.
We added the library, right?
We did add the library.
That's all.
The rest of it is similar to the services we received in the past. More services, they want to services now.
Well, what I'm saying, $42,000 low bid on investor services versus what we're doing now. They're saying $86,000.
Our current vendor, our annual cost for our current vendor is around $41,000. That particular vendor, when they submitted the bid for $86,000. We have no reasoning behind it.
It had been some time since this has gone out to bid, and so it's hoping to bid out and for services. And that's why we're here today, asking for approval of the bid. Now, ambassador services is the recommendation of the administration. They are here. So they had already talked about landscaping services. And they could answer any questions that council may have.
And just to let council know, we did call the references for ambassador services. And all of the references that we did receive were very positive. So we did do our due diligence in regards to that.
So we have a motion from Carolyn, second from James, that we accept the ambassador services for $42,150.06.
And they will have to come back with a contract, which council will then review. So this is just to award the bid, just to let y'all know that.
Any other discussion, Council? $42,150.06. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Again, same sign. We're going to skip to item 32. It's consideration of possible action on approval of preliminary plat proposed
Council, we have Tom with TNP Engineering. They are doing the engineering for Cleveland ISD on the north side.
Evening, Mayor, Council, and Mr. Pennington, staff. Good to be back with you here again this evening for representing Cleveland ISD for the preliminary plat and the final plat. So if you recall, we were here a few weeks ago. We just did a council update for you, which there was no action item. It was just to give you an update on where we are. So as I mentioned then, tonight we're coming before you to seek formal approval of that preliminary plat and the site plan for this, which is the process that the city has, which is a step that gets us to where we want to get to, which is to get our final plat approved and then ultimately a building permit. So I think we presented everything. I think you guys have everything there. The staff has some things they want to say, and I'll just stand here and answer any questions that you might have.
Mayor, Council, staff is asking that we approve the preliminary plat. There are some comments that we're going through the preliminary process. Those comments will be addressed before we get a final plat. We're asking for approval of preliminary plat.
Okay. And you said there will be some other.
They have received comments from our engineering staff, contracted out, and they'll address those comments before the final plat.
I'd like to make a motion that we consider this, that we go ahead and do a motion for this approval of the preliminary plat.
You said, motion, Maryland, second. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Item 30 is consideration of possible action on resolution to accept the final report of Texas Community Development Block Grant Planning Capacity Building Comprehensive Plan. Contract number 7219044 from HR.
Mayor, Council, Rebecca Sant is here to go over the 2019 grant that the city applied for on the planning capacity building comprehensive plan. This is going to deal with our 20 to 30 year plan on our streets, water, sewer, infrastructure, and our facilities, as well as all of our planning for the entire city. Rebecca.
Well, first, I'd like to just say that thanks very much, guys, for letting me come. I'm going to try to keep this really short and high level. You guys have done a lot of stuff that, you know, if we were just starting our plan, we would definitely be adding a lot more to it. This is the final of the plan. It's definitely a living working document. So, you know, you can keep going and adding to it, you know, as the future goes on. So this, like I mentioned, this plan was financed through the Texas Department of Agriculture. There was a copy posted, I think, on the city's website for public comment, as well as the public comment that we had earlier this evening. We also did public outreach during this plan. I think it was September when we called out for public comments on some of the exhibits and some of our preliminary findings. And that closed in December, and then we took those comments because we did get comments for that period, and we took those and we incorporated them all into the plan. So this is just a really high level view of a comprehensive plan for the city. It's just a general vision for the city going forward. It's for the next 20 years. I mean, I mentioned that it can become a living document. Definitely, we recommend every 5 years, especially with how things are changing here in Cleveland, that you guys revisit this plan. There's different sections within the comp plan itself. I'm just going to briefly touch on all of them that are listed here. So the first one is land use. Land use is a way to preserve open spaces. It could be for floodplain reasons. It could be future trails or parks. It's a way to identify commercial areas, residential areas, industrial areas, and just the reasons behind some of those are there for the existing city, obviously, and then like just in your ETJ, and I know you guys have zoning as well, and so some of that is in consideration, but here is the rough figure of the land use in the city of Cleveland. With the San Jacinto River kind of coming through, there is a lot of green space, potentially available for the city. This will help you in planning for more things. The Central Business District, there was a lovely discussion earlier about some of that beautification. I know too, this last year, you guys have been working towards improvements with the sidewalks and the parking. We really encourage you, this plan highlights some of that work that's been done, encourages the city to keep doing that. A lot of that stuff is, I think, was based on that 2011 improvements plan by the EDC. I mean, it's changed a little since as you go through, but we just encourage to continue doing that and to improve that connectivity just with how, City Hall and the Civic Center are so close to downtown. This could be a really great corridor for the city, which we also talked about in the transportation system section of the plan. There was a couple different concerns that we raised, tried to address safety concerns with thoroughfares, collector roads, with the discussion again earlier with the public comment, talked about that a little. And then the thoroughfare plan was really something that I think the city kind of in the background has been working a lot with the county and with TxDOT to identify areas of different roads to improve. Part of the purpose of making a plan like this is to help you guys have something to show state agencies like TxDOT that, hey, this isn't our plan. We, are prepared for this, and it will help you get some funding in the future. That's one of the purposes of having a plan. And then just the city streets plan, the workshop that was discussed earlier at this council meeting had a lot of improvements for the city streets. I mean, that's fantastic. We just keep, one step at a time, and then everything will get there. This figure just shows some of those major thoroughfare improvements that are proposed. It includes, some different connectors off to the east side, a connector from the industrial area, kind of up by the jail, down towards the other side, the 321. So, the water system, the goal is just to have adequate water for the current population, for the future population. We really looked at connecting and strengthening the existing water system. There's some really old lines. There's some lines that are very small. We could do some more looping. We could, the elevated storage tanks that are planned at the Grand Oaks site and that up north. New wells come on, especially up north, to help with the pressures. All those things are covered. We do, I guess, one of the things that this plan also recommends is to do some really detailed master planning for some of these utilities, especially like water, wastewater, stormwater, and then park planning, because since this plan covered so many things, we were unable to really give a lot of detail on things, and since they things are changing with the growth in different areas, we do recommend further study and further, planning, if you will, to really help the city prepare for some of that. So this is just our figure. It shows some of the new things planned, like the elevated tank on the north side there, potential new well, connecting in water plant 4 to the rest of the system. We could run a water line along 77. So all of these things are things to consider, to think about, to make the system stronger, to help you guys have a more resilient water system. Wastewater, currently the city has 2 plants, the east wastewater treatment plant and the west wastewater treatment plant. This plan discusses generally about expanding the east plant to cover more of the city's flows and phasing out the west wastewater treatment plant. There's different things too that are recommended, like better mapping of the system, such as better asset management, addressing the I&I, which the city has been doing over the course of the years with different CDBG grants, addressing some of those I&I. So just continuing that. Quick picture of the wastewater and some potential collector lines for the industrial areas, for new roads up 59, the storm drainage system, just looking at adequate drainage inside the city, looking for drainage for the future populations, providing regional detention, really both putting the drainage improvements in with the roadway improvements too, to try to address things holistically. A master drainage plan would really help too with understanding exactly how water is flowing in the different areas. And you could help by having a plan like that too, you can help development and can help you codify improvements to your drainage infrastructure overall. And then the recreation and open space and trails, it looks at the parks that the city has, improvements of those parks, maybe additions for new parks. We didn't get as much into the weeds as I always would have liked to, just because within the scope of this comprehensive plan, but there's opportunities to look at different areas, to connect areas, to look at hike trails, to look at some of those facilities in order to connect and to provide neighborhood or city parks. So that was really quick. I know it's late, but if you have questions, please let us know. But otherwise, we're here.
We've been working on this for a couple of years. I would like to say that this plan matches the county's comprehensive plan, the transportation portion of that. And again, to reiterate that if we have this project listed in our comprehensive plan, it's either go to TxDOT and say, hey, we need help funding on this project. To the point to say, yeah, we plan to do this project here. TxDOT, it allows us to better access to getting better success at getting grants.
And not just for TxDOT, but for Texas Water Development Board as well, for that SRF funding.
Capacity building and comprehensive plan contract number 721-944.
Carolyn, okay. We have a motion from James, second from Carolyn. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Thank you guys very much.
Thank you. 17. Item 17 is approval for staff and Gallagher Benefit Service Suite proposed request for employee health benefits year 2021 and 22. And with this.
Hi, we also have Chuck Robinson with Gallagher on Zoom as well. Hopefully you'll be able to hear us. This is our annual event or annual RFQ that we go out for our medical insurance. We do have a rate path on our dental and our vision, which is through MetLife. And we have a rate guarantee through next year on Dearborn Insurance, which is our life, accidental death and dismemberment and long-term disability. So we don't need to go out on those services. However, we do go out every year for our medical insurance. At this time, we're not expecting any changes in our plan design. We did last year change to 2 different plans. We had what we call a buy-up plan, which is our current plan, and then the employee pays $15 per pay cycle to stay on that plan, which has lower deductibles and other options. And then we have a lower price plan where the employee only is 100% paid. That seems to be working really well. We have had no complaints, and our vendor has been Blue Cross Blue Shield. They are a very good company. Again, we've had no complaints. Our renewal with them cannot come any earlier than 90 days from our effective date, which is October the 1st. So we always tend to have our bids opened about mid-July. This year, we are going to go out for RFP for our bids in mid-June with a July 15th, I believe, if I'm not mistaken, on date for the bid openings. Then Gallagher reviews all of the selections and then comes back and meets with the Health Benefits Committee with the options. And then based on that recommendation, we bring that forth to council because benefits and payroll are 2 of our largest items during the budget cycle. Are there any questions?
You say you had no complaints on this plan?
No, ma'am, we've had no complaints with Blue Cross Blue Shield. They're extremely well, they have a lot of vendors or a lot of doctors in their plan. The employees have not been grumbling in regards to that plan. So we're really hoping that we get a good renewal rate in regards to that. We will have those numbers when the bids get opened, and that'll be in mid-July. We are not looking at doing any plan design changes. We'll have the 4 structures, which is the employee only, employee plus spouse, employee plus children, and employee plus family. That seems to be working off really well. For those that just have a child, they pay less than a family, an employee plus family. We've been doing that for a couple of years now, and that seems to be working quite well. So what we're just asking for council tonight is just the approval to go out for our RFP as we normally do each year.
If this is approval of the employees, and everybody satisfied, with this motion that we go ahead with this, proposal request for the employee health benefits, 2021 to 2022 year.
Have a motion from Marilyn, a second. James, any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay, item 18 is a change order number 1 with CF McDonald Electrical Incorporated Community Development and Revitalization Texas General Land Office contract number 20-065-009-C022 for adding additional days to contract for an ending date of May 31st, 2021.
Mayor and council, nobody likes change orders, but this one's a good one. This was only extended because of timing. And this really I believe COVID played a factor into this with, one on the delivery of the generator itself and, getting that generator energized, by Entergy. So those were basically the, I guess you could say the slowdown to getting this project done. This is a CDBG GLO grant. It's an interesting grant because it's, two phases. One of the phases was to redo the drainage in front of City Hall. And this is the second phase that handled a new generator at our water plant number 4. Three, which is over by the hall. So we're just asking for approval to extend those. Extended by 30 days.
I'll make the motion that we go ahead with this extension, on this item.
They have a motion from Marilyn, second from James, any other discussion on 18?
Yes.
All those in favor? Again. 19 is, acceptance of resignation of reserve officer Eric Montez.
Make a motion to read that resignation of reserve officer.
Second.
Motion from Danny and second from Marilyn. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Again.
My understanding is he had another job. And he's not allowed to be a volunteer reserve officer. He has a job at another location. Is that right, Chief?
Auto parts dealer. He is just a non-paid volunteer police officer who comes out and helps. He just wants to resign from the police.
Thank you. I'm sorry. If we had a long day.
No, council, the reason why I thought I'd bring it back to council approves anybody who loves that, we call them, on, put them on the budget. That's what the budget, but you got to make sure stuff for the right and bonds and stuff. So that they bring on everybody who might be locked up.
Thank you. All those in favor? We need to vote again. Did we vote? We have a motion from.
Yes, we have a motion from Dean and a second from Marilyn.
All those in favor?
Let the record show Mr. Waters has stepped out for last.
On item 20, we approved that on the consent. Item 21, approval of budget calendar for fiscal year 2021, 2022.
Mayor, council, this is a housekeeping item that we do annually for the development of the 2021 and 2022 fiscal year. And those dates are set. Several of the important dates are based on the timeline the state provides for their funds.
I'll make a motion that we approve the budget calendar for fiscal year 2021.
Okay, Marilyn, you made the motion, Danny seconded that motion. All those in favor? Yes. Item 22 is reappointment of board members, position 2, 4, and 6 for a reinvestment zone. This is on the LG homes. Zone 2.
So another housekeeping item for related to the board structure of Pinewood Trail, that is on the item. That's correct. And we're recommending renewal of the board members as. I'll make a motion to the reappointment of the board members 2, 4, 6, and reinvestment zone 2. LGI.
Marilyn?
She seconded.
Okay, yeah, motion to James, a second from Marilyn. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Yes. Item 23, quarterly investment report for period ending March 31st, 2020.
Mayor and Council, this is also a housekeeping item that we do quarterly, part of our investment policy. And the funds that are set forth for investing, we have two tax pool accounts that are related, one related to general fund, one related to water fund. And then we have a money market account at Prosperity, which is a depository for both funds as well. And you can see based on that report, the interest that has been earned over those 3 months. And this might be a little less than you've seen in the past, and that has to do with lowering of the Fed rate, which impacts the interest rate that you receive, similar to what you would see in your own bank.
This is just for the month of March.
For period ending March.
Yes, so from January 1 to March. Yes, ma'am.
Make a motion to
Marilyn, you say?
No.
Oh, Carolyn, okay, we have a motion from James, and a second from Carolyn. Any other discussion? All those in favor?
Number 24, we covered in the consent. So we have number 31. We did 25 and 26, they were the bonds. And so we've already done the Liberty Church, the janitorial, the landscaping. Yes, sir, that was Rebecca, she was just here. So we need to do 31 for the bid.
Okay, 31 is consideration of possible action on tax trust bid for Prentice Goods for TX 12101530 for address listed as 11112 North Blair, Robertson, Springer, Cleveland, lot 20, lot 10 acres, .1435, in the amount of $10,000.
Council, this week, actually, y'all approved a higher bid from the same vendor for $15,000. However, that had to also go to the county and the school. Our tax trust attorney, Greg East, sent this back to me because he never received anything from the county or the school. And since this time, the bidder has asked that he go for a lower bid amount due to the amount of work that is required on this property. Now, please keep in mind, as you'll notice, the appraised value has increased significantly by the appraisal district in regards to this. And the bid that he has submitted is still not sufficient for Justice Council. It will still need to try to go back to the county and the school. But he did submit this bid. It's for the same one, but this is going to be for an amount of $10,000. And you'll notice on the bid analysis that the city's distribution is $2,209.69. In addition, he also has to pay separately the post-judgment tax years that is due. The school receives, their portion is, according to the analysis, the school receives $4,255.12. Liberty County receives $1,663.39. This is the proposed distribution of the $10,000. Keep in mind, it also has court costs of $1,878. Typically, council does make the decision based on the bid and whether or not it is more beneficial to put it back on the tax roll. Do we know what the value increase? That is the appraisal district, and they simply increase the value just like they've done on everyone else, unfortunately. The appraised value was 34.7 in 2019. For 2021, it is now appraised at 46,980. Because this is a tax, Mr. Franklin asked why we would want to sell them at 10. This is a tax bid, so we don't get the appraised value for tax bid properties. Typically, we just get them for a strike-off value, which this is a lot less than the strike-off value. Or council will decide, yes, this is a good price. Let's get this back on the tax roll.
What's the condition?
I cannot speak for the county, for the Central Appraisal District. I'm sorry, sir. According to Mr. East, sorry, Mr. Trotter, he said that he never received a response back from the school or the county on this bid for the 15,000. I rely on him to provide that information to me. So since that has occurred, the bidder is asked to redo his bid at a lower bid.
Well, I mean.
Yes. I was asked if he pays the $10,000, that $10,000 will break it down between the court costs as well as the distribution that is listed on the analysis. And then it goes back on the tax roll to get property taxes in the future.
Well, apparently the county rejected $15,000. It might not take you further. Well, you can fill in that blank if you want. That includes the school district. You've seen it, Mary? You've seen it, Senate Gold Park?
Yeah, it has it with our house boarded up. Someone seconded a motion. I missed the motion.
Maryland second.
Okay, so Maryland rejected. Okay.
Rejected, not accepted.
I heard Danny, that's the one.
Yes. We have a motion for Maryland to not accept the bid and second from Danny. Any other discussion? All those in favor? They will get 32.
Yes, we did 32, 33.
Consideration and possible action on nomination of council participation to be on the board committee for the request for qualifications for the engineering and administration of the American Rescue Plan.
Mayor, council, we're just, as it says, we're looking for a scoring committee. This project is looking at the water tower that we're proposing over the Tanglewood area that would supply the new school. So we're looking for an engineer to handle that project.
We have already received RFPs that were opened last week. This is the COVID money that we'll receive half this year and half next year. We are treating this like it is a grant. So that is why we have to have a scoring committee for the engineers, as well as the admin, because we did receive 2 bids for the admin.
How many do you think you have?
There's no required. Previously, we've had 2 participants from council, whether that's the mayor and 1 council, or that was 2 council. I just can't have 3 council. That creates a quorum.
I do see on here that it says it's usually made up of the city manager, and public works director, city secretary, and utility supervisor.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Councilman Lee to be on the committee.
Okay. I'd like to nominate myself.
Okay. Council, any discussion? We have a motion from Maryland, second, Dan? Or, no, we don't have it tonight. Okay.
I'll make a motion that we accept and.
Okay. Maryland, you second that. Carolyn first, second, okay. Any other discussion? All those in favor? Okay, item 34, consideration and possible action on BNSF annexation agreement.
That we are actually tabling due to some communication with them during this time. We will bring that back at a later date.
We need a motion.
No, sir, we're taking that off the agenda.
The BNSF wasn't ready for us, so we'll just wait until they're ready. No need, we're pulling
It'll be on the agenda when they're ready for it.
Item 35, discussion of possible action, city council directing zoning commission to review possible changes to setback requirements for non-conforming lots.
Mayor, council, we have several non-conforming lots in the area. A lot of them you find in the Glen Park neighborhood. Those are mainly 50 lots, 50-foot frontage lots, for example. And then when you have maybe like a 10-foot setback on the back of the property as far and on the sides as well, it doesn't leave a lot of room for someone to situate a house on there. So we've had a lot of problems with having to come back to the zoning board and council to get variance. So we're asking for all the non-conforming lots to reduce the setbacks by a certain amount. And I believe that we talked about 5.
Yes.
Well, just really at this point, Mayor, Council, we've recognized that certain issues routinely go before the zoning board. One of the things when we adopted the new subdivision ordinance, by widening the lot requirements to 75 feet, we created a bunch of non-conforming lots. We talked about kind of carving those non-conforming lots and setting a different set of standards for them. We didn't, but as we proceeded along, we've noticed that most people can't do anything or building on those smaller lots. So we would like your permission to bring this issue to the zoning commission so that they can take a look at it, make a recommendation, and then y'all can decide whether or not we should amend the zoning ordinance to deal with this non-conforming. Right now, the initial thought is, again, having an exception to the width requirements specifically for non-conforming lots and set a different standard, different setback standard for those. That's the initial.
With that explanation, Mayor, I would like to go ahead and give the zoning commission an opportunity to review these policy changes for the non-conforming lots.
And they'll bring that back to us, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, the lots over, these are the lots where they, I can't think of the builder, where the builder came in and built those houses over there back in time.
Yeah, it's mainly in the Glen Park area. They've got 50-foot lots and they have to keep coming and getting variances from a 10-foot setback to a 5-foot setback. So, but to answer your question, Ms. Clay, yes, the zoning commission, there's public hearings. The zoning commission has to meet and then the city council has to do a public hearing before they can, an ordinance can be approved.
Carolyn, you made the motion, or Marilyn?
Marilyn made the motion. I have not heard a second.
Okay, Marilyn made the motion. James is seconded. Any other discussion? All in favor? Okay, item 36, consider and possible action on payment of services provided by the Resco electrician at the sports complex. I'm assuming the city manager will address it.
Mayor, council, I was unaware of some invoices that were from prior years. They were asking for payment. Resco, our vendor, was asking for payment on some work that was done shortly the week after we had the party incident out of the park. So Resco did come in, they did do the work. We apparently they were trying to bill us for some lease of equipment. I spoke with Resco and I said, hey, we don't have a contract with council, we didn't negotiate a lease. I can't pay a lease. So he was very understanding, and he apologized for not billing on time. He said that he's trying to take care of the problem and help the city out as soon as possible. The idea was to get the park running again, has CYBA be able to play at the park. We had no lights at the park, and so Resco had come in to our rescue and had provided their equipment as well as their labor to get the lights working. They're also the ones that told us, hey, you need to look because what we have out here is temporary, it's not going to work forever. And they were able to tell us where there's flaws in the system. We're a little surprised that the lighting system is still working. But we owe them $14,000 that should have been paid in 18. They never billed it. They never invoiced. So they're asking for payment. I wanted to bring it to you, so everybody was aware of it. I asked them to remove the leasing of equipment. They were understanding of that. They were just asking to be paid for their labor and installing the equipment. You know, once we re-engineer the ballpark as part of the Harvey grant, that equipment is good. So he will take that equipment back. So we're not leasing it. So we're asking for council to allow for finance to go ahead and cut a payment for that invoice. We didn't express that we need the invoice.
I make a motion that we pay. We owe it to them. Now, really, the only reason staff brought this back is because Bobby, just to make you aware of it. We owe the gentleman. He did.
I'll second that.
Dave, you made the motion.
Yes.
Marilyn seconded. All those in favor?
It's James said, they said it, so James seconded it.
Okay, item 37 is consideration of possible action on disposal or repair.
But Mayor, I have a question.
No, I thought you covered. Okay, all those in favor of paying the guy $14,000?
But I just had a question on the electrical work. So the electrical issue that we had before, even though I understand that was just temporary, have those electrical issues been resolved?
No, ma'am. They plan to be resolved in the next several months. HR Green is doing the engineering, has completed the engineering on the work. So, Angela, do you know that?
Yes, council approved to go out for bid last month on the engineering portion of the Harvey bid. They are due to come back on maybe, I want to say the 25th, and that will come back to council to be awarded early June so that we can get this project started. As we do have a concrete date of January of 2022. That is the date that we have gotten extended by TDM and FEMA.
He just waited 3 years to build it. It's a little weird. Any other questions? We're going to agree to pay this plan?
Yes.
Okay, I'll item 37, consideration and possible action on disposal or repair of used generator located in the police department either by resolution of the city council, city of Cleveland, such as declaring certain personal property of the city to be surplus and delegating authority to the city manager to dispose of this surplus property, PD, used generator, or to authorize staff to go out to bid on repair.
Mayor, council, this item's already been on the agenda. It was a request of the council member to add it back on. And I agree that we need a resolution to the generator itself. It is not hooked in, it's actually behind the police station. We've left it there basically from a management standpoint of an insurance policy, in case the police station generator that we have put in, the original one, fails, then we have the generator to fall back on. Problem with it is it's a 20-year-old machine. We know that it's been very well taken care of. We have no log on it. It's a fine machine. It's 20 years old. And so the return on investment as far as wiring that and hooking it in is roughly $80,000 to $100,000. To purchase a new generator, you're looking at $250,000. So we're kind of in that, we're on the fence on what we want to do with it. And so the agenda is written in a way that we can either do the project, or we can dispose of the project, or we can continue to leave it there. That is correct. The original generator is being used. It is functional at this time.
Bobby, what happens if the 45 finds that $9,000?
You know, I need to look and see.
The low bid.
With the low bid, I guess that the high bid was 90,000. Okay.
No, the high bid was 77. Yeah.
Okay.
So, but even though this is a 20-year-old generator, it's got new parts in it, it's not, the body of it, I guess, is 20 years old, but they kept it up to date. This is a Exxon subsidiary.
My understanding, it comes from a mud district and municipal utility district, and they typically have more money than cities. So they maintain their equipment very well. So
They only got rid of it because they were going to one with a different kind of gas. That's the only reason why we upgraded it, and we were fortunate enough to find out about it and bring it to the city, which was a no-brainer. It was $5,000 plus they gave us $3,500 worth of fuel. So we basically got it for free. So $45,000 to hook it up to me is a no-brainer, and it's something good that we can have for us. Or hurricane season coming on pretty quick.
But Carolyn, you're spending how much? We don't know. We're talking about a 20-year generator sitting out there over a year. We don't know what we got to spend. So you're gonna throw good money off to a 20-year-old generator.
No, I am. I'm glad to see that.
I thought.
Because I think it's gonna work.
There's no warranty, that won't be a warranty on it?
The one we have now is 17 years old. And it
I'm
only runs.
not arguing if we need a generator, but I'm just arguing.
We can't
why
have
would we
it.
spend that money on a 20-year-old generator? If we don't know where to start it on tomorrow.
Has anybody tried it?
It was running before it came here. It was running in perfect condition when it was delivered.
James, that's wrong. They took the fuel tank, said it was full of sand, the fuel tank. Now, don't tell me it's running before it got here, so no, it wasn't.
Well, it was.
No, it was not. We pulled the tank, they pulled the tank, and it was full of sand. So you think that's a good running generator?
And how do you know that it was full of sand?
Well, I'm just saying, that's the only thing, that's the first thing we know that's wrong with it, so, Carol, not just, they're probably, you're talking about 20-year-old.
Because I know I'm waiting for 6 months behind. Only that's why I don't say too much, because I'm just giving you an eye. But have y'all, somebody that's, trying to look at the generator.
Yes.
To tell you that, I'm trying to talk about. I'm trying to look and see what the business is, what the business is, I don't. The state of city money, because the other city needs to do. So it's gonna be hurricane time, and we're going to be still do a big money. So have y'all had somebody to come in and knows what they're looking at and generate? We tell you what you don't need, what you need.
We had a former public works director go and look at it on site to see it run. I have not seen this piece of equipment run with my own eyes. I understand there was a logbook that accompanies that, and being that it's coming from the municipal utility district, I'm gonna believe the information that I have in the water book. The concern is the age. I think that it will run. The question is, do we spend, and I'm sorry for this quote amount, do we spend the $45,000 or whatever it may be, $40,000 on the electrical? There was a lot of, the getting it hooked into the building is the real cost. And we're kind of in a quandary in the fact that we've got a 20-year-old machine, and then we also can't afford to really go out and get a brand new piece of equipment as well.
Well, just like they're doing the grants on the other items, there is no grants available for purchasing a generator?
There have been grants out there in the past. I did ask about that because I know that we looked at the generators maybe a couple of years ago, and I did ask that question. And a lot of those generator grants came through emergency management, and at the time that I asked, they did not have. We could re-explore that option to see if we can find another generator with grant funds. I know with our grants, with our CDBG, I know that we didn't be doing hurricane in the area, but you know, the CDBG projects, I think there's other priorities too that are on our radar that we want to get under CDBG.
And this is why I'm saying that rescue plan, the funds that they provided for that, this is why I'm saying that fund should have been used for things that was set as a priority. And a generator is something that we need as a priority because we have hurricane seasons coming up now, and we're going to be needing that. And I know that you've already put this in plan to do the water tower, but I just feel like we should have prioritized.
And we did on the recovery money that the coronavirus recovery. I feel like our priority number one is the water tower. And I wanted to make sure that we had the money available to do that water tower first and foremost. That may free up some money indirectly to get a generator. I'd like to stick to the coronavirus money for the water tower, one specific project. A lot of paperwork. If paperwork requires a lot of staffing, hours, and time, I feel like that's just our priority. I know that also frees up some bond money for allowing us to do the aerator. There's a lot of things on the water system that I want to take care of. But I do agree, we will work to see what we can find.
Back to my question. We do have a functioning generator for the police.
That is correct. It does not,
so we are wanting to spend $45,000. And it might work perfect. But what if we spend $45,000 for a backup generator? I'm pretty sure we're not getting a warranty on a 20-year generator. So would that be feasible for this taxpayer money? Kind of rolling the dice on it. Might work, then again, it might not work. Then again, if it's for a backup.
It's not a backup, this would be the generator that we can use that. The other one we use.
the other one could be used at the civic center or somewhere else where we need.
This one.
What kind of guarantees do we have that it's gonna work when we spend the money? Yeah, I get a guarantee. It's 20 years old. But I'm not gonna step out on play with taxpayer money. Now, if it was my money, I might step out on play. But on the taxpayer's money, I'm not gonna step out on play.
It's gonna work. Oh my gosh, it's gonna work, and most of it has worked out. There's no doubt about it. I make a motion that we spend $45,000 or whatever we need to spend to get this up and running at the police department, and that we do not use, that we use
also like to have that when this passes, if it passes, I'd like to use that generator, this generator that we're going to, talking about here, to be applied to the police department for full-time use, and take the second generator and move it to the civic center or wherever, you may need, the second. From my understanding, I'm sorry, the generator down there does not run the whole police station. And it's correct. And if we're in a bad storm, and that PD is gonna become our command center, and we're all spent there for many times and all days, you know, and we only have a building that's only half maintained by a generator, you know, whole generator to become command. You know, you gotta have backup.
Okay, I just want to clarify on Carolyn's motion that she's asking for us to take it out of excess fund balance.
And I'll make another second.
Any other discussion? I got one more comment. 45,000, if we spent that money in the generator work, that would be great. But if we spend that kind of money on 20-year generator, we don't have any warranty. I mean, I can't, I just don't see it for me. You know, I think what we should be doing is, you know, with the growth that we have, I think that we should look at some kind of way to try to purchase a new generator. Something with a guarantee on it, something that we know that 10 years from now that it's going to be functional. That's my thing. Why don't we just wait and do it right?
So the warranty, this is just to get it into the police station. It's not, I'm sure that darn thing's running, because I feel like, Carolyn, you're gonna spend 45, I think you're probably gonna come back, they're gonna want 20. I feel like you're gonna spend $100,000 getting a 20-year-old generator put in the police station. It's just throwing good money after that.
So the place we all got, I'm just asking them with, did they, like, say that, they were supplied with what you needed, something happened?
They got access to all these parts we need or anything like that, because I know that is brought up that you couldn't get parts for, but that's not good.
We do have, we have a logbook, my understanding that shows that, it's performance history. And I understand that it's run very well. It was on I believe it was on a replacement schedule for the mud, the municipal utility district, and that was the only reason why they surplus.
Can we talk to those people that brought it on?
We have.
I have, but you're still talking about a 20-year-old generator, Carol. I don't care how good you make it. I don't care how much you think it's good.
So my point is, I wasn't privy to all this information to talk to them. I mean, this was just, you know, appeared on the agenda. I didn't know anything about the purchasing of the generator at all.
At the time, the city manager at the time was afraid that the generator would fail at the police station. It basically was an insurance policy. And at the time that it was purchased, it really wasn't thought out to having it connected in the building, and that was some of the cost. And so, you know, kudos for, you know, making sure that we got it for nearly nothing. It's an insurance policy in case the police, the original generator failed to function, that we could plug in. But I think the electrical cost was something that really wasn't factored into.
Yeah. So we can guarantee that it's gonna cost $45,000. Now how much did we say the electricity work was gonna cost out of the ballpark? Did we start out at one price and then?
How much is that? Over 100,000? Oh, the actual electrical is much higher than that. I want to think like 400.
How much did they say it was gonna cost initially?
Our FEMA
grant initially covered all the repairs, was for close to $900,000. We did most of the work. So I believe this one is, if I'm not mistaken, the bid that's going out is right between $300,000 and $400,000.
Yeah, Mr. Carroll, you have a.
I just want to know how this generator fuel diesel.
Yeah.
And it's not like gas. So if you have it, you're using it. Somebody's got to go get the diesel truck to get over and refill it. And that's one of the concerns I had back.
Yeah.
I want to make a point here. I'm the one that brought this up. But I want to know, it is fine. And because my name, Councilman James Franklin, is on it, not this council. So I'm gonna let everybody know where this came from. Okay. And I want you to know that I was really ranked over the coals on a lot of this. I hear on here, most times you see something on here from orientation of the department. It doesn't say council member, Terry, assigned here, or council member, any council member.
I agree with that statement. I think it should be general, and I apologize for not catching.
No, I'm upset about it because it seems like any time that I put something up on the agenda or bring to somebody's attention that I'm blackballed or called out on it. You may not, you have done it. I want to let you.
Where is this coming from?
It's
Yeah,
coming
where
from
is it
our
coming? Where are you coming from? I don't understand what you say. We voted on this in November.
Well,
This was.
let me tell you, we did not vote on this because let me tell you, Mayor.
We did vote on it.
Okay, are you saying I voted on it?
You didn't vote on it.
Well, you said we
But
voted on it.
council, so you're gonna go back and start doing everything over that
We know that
we did 2 years ago, or?
I want to know that I wasn't even privy to that. And I wasn't on.
Well, I don't think you have to be free.
And I brought it on here for discussion to see the truth.
Well, that's fine. We don't have a problem with discussion. Who gets upset like you do, guys, over this, because we don't agree with you. We don't agree with you.
We don't agree with you either.
But this is what it's all about. We're not gonna agree on everything. But just because we disagree, let's not fall out. Yeah, but it's a tone. But James, come on, bro. It's a tone.
Okay.
We all respect everybody, man. Let's not call out about it. You know, I think we all on the same page. You want what's best for the city. I want what's best for the city. Now, we might agree on how to get there. Okay, but at the end of the day, we want what's best. Okay? So, no, nothing personal, nothing raise your voice about, man, I mean, we want the same thing. This,
I wasn't involved in that before.
yeah, but that was before you came on the council, right?
That's right.
Okay, good.
So that's why I'm asking about all this.
Well, that's fine. We don't have a problem with it. It was part of the agenda.
Time I bring up something, it's always Councilman Franklin. Nobody else has been called out.
I hadn't brought up anything.
Just to let you know, Mr. Franklin, Mr. Lee had asked for the dumping last agenda. And on the agenda, I did state he was the one that requested it, so his name was on that. So I did want to let you know that it was nothing personal, but usually when a council member specifically asks for something, I put it on there to show who's asked for it, so that the council doesn't wonder why it was on there. So just to let you know where that comes from. It's just.
Did that same thing happen with you, Ms. Terry? When you asked for something to be on the agenda?
I do agree being consistent, and I don't like calling somebody's name out. If that's the form that we will go forward. I think council should be able to ask for something, and it's somewhat, it not be, directed, and not specifically state the person that asked.
If I want to put something on the agenda, I don't have a problem with saying, I want to put it on the agenda, and you can publish.
I
I want to make sure that we go through the process, the democratic process. And if somebody has something they want to put on the agenda, I don't want them to feel, that they are being outed or I think it's important. It's just kind of leave it as council member. Thank you.
Let me just address one thing with you, Dan. If it costs more than $45,000, that's because it's gone up since a year and a half or 2 years ago when we got it. So that'd be.
I don't have a problem with spending the $45,000. My point is,
I know it's.
do we have a warrant?
So David's, thrown out the idea not to exceed $50,000.
And we get a license, somebody's gonna do it, check it out completely.
Well, that's what we voted on.
You're gonna have a license for one person.
Okay.
That's.
Yeah, we don't need no safety. It's going.
We made the motion.
Bobby, Carolyn made the motion to authorize the parents and generators to use excess fund balance. So if it's over $50,000, what does that mean? We're back to square one.
We just go back to getting people off as much as they, but I don't like getting sad. So I think that we'll go look at it as a year-old bid. If it's in excess of $50,000, we'll bring it back to you. We'll decide that.
Okay, that's in the motion, Carol. So we do bring it back. James, second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
As far as the discussion, I think that, we kind of waited a little bit too long to get back on this anyway. But I don't agree with spending this excessive money for something that we're not sure is gonna work. And I really wish that there was some way that we can go back and, at least have this inspected to see if it's gonna work. Now, there was a lot of good points made as far as not to exceed a certain amount. I agree with that as well. But that was my.
Unfortunately, it's very difficult to tell if there's anything wrong with it.
Right.
But you're just dependent on a 20-year-old machine to back up things that we really need. That's the same way. That's fine. I just don't like.
It's just like a marriage. It's just like
Okay, any other discussion? All those in favor?
Carolyn, James, in favor?
in the vote.
So Morris, were you in favor?
Yes, ma'am.
Again, the motion.
I just, I just explained why.
Okay, Bonnie, I will.
Yes,
Can I
ma'am.
ask you a quick question? The bond, how much exactly?
8 million.
8 million for streets?
consultation with attorneys.
Everybody's in the room, that's good enough.
Yeah, we're all in the same room, so that's.
Yes, recording.
We're back.
And
I'll make the motion that we adjourn. Let's go. I will. Okay. I am speeding this time.